Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
The headline is Bill Simmons trashes Pablo Torre over Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson reporting. I will read some of these quotes for you guys in a second. Pablo Torre, it will be appearing on Bill Simmons' podcast here. The quote is, Pablo Torre would have done a long podcast about Leo Farnsworth trying to practice with the team and then done a media tour about it afterwards, Simmons said, shocking his co-hosts. I've never seen anybody dine on a stupider story for a week and a half while pretending you're a journalist. What the bleep was that? Seriously. So Pablo Torre was made indignant by this because he has 11 sources. My favorite part of the article, though, was Simmons also discussed the NFL and the 1978 film Heaven Can Wait on his podcast.
Sounds like a good pod.
It's a good movie.
Warren Beatty.
It was the rewatchables. It was supposed to be a movie pod. The weirdest part is why they were talking about Pablo, I guess. Right. It's a movie podcast.
And why Pablo is going on Bill's podcast. What do we get out of this?
Yeah, it seems like you're going to pick a fight with Bill Simmons. You get him on your podcast so you get the clicks.
Doesn't sound like Pablo's doing a lot of no these days.
We can talk about Heaven Can Wait, though, right? Warren Beatty, football player, right?
Yeah.
You guys
You've
have
never seen it?
Go ahead and just search YouTube there so you can see Warren Beatty as a quarterback, his throwing motion. This was a movie star for the Times, and I want you to see just the general lack of arm strength and skill involved. I've told you before that Adam McKay said that it took a full year to teach Danny McBride how to throw a baseball in Eastbound and Down. It took a year because he was so unathletic. I have seen very little funnier than John C. Reilly trying to catch a foul ball as a catcher in the movie Love of the Game. John C. Reilly cannot run and certainly cannot do whatever athleticism is required from going from the catcher's position to running backwards,
popping
off
up
your
the
mask.
mask.
In terms of difficult things that people don't know how difficult they are, catching a foul ball as a catcher isn't the most difficult thing, but only because punt returning exists.
Dan, did they take John C. Reilly to like catcher school? They're like, all right, here's you got to flip up the mask or your pop time. What's your pop time?
Can you imagine John C. Reilly having any athleticism? Tell me, I mean, there have to be. What is it? Is it DiCaprio? What was the basketball movie that DiCaprio did where he was very young? And
Basketball Diaries.
Couldn't dribble a basketball.
Basketball Diaries, although I almost said Love and Basketball.
You have seen any number. We could open it up to the audience. Give me the least athletic thing that you have seen in the movies from an actor. Charlie Sheen and Kevin Costner have been celebrated for at least having a high school baseball ability to move around in a way that doesn't look ridiculous. But no, and Costner has done some stuff with golf where his swing doesn't look horrific, but most actors cannot recreate athleticism in a way that's realistic.
Well, it's easy for Costner because at a base level, he looks like he could be a baseball player or a golfer. He does. So it's an easy role for him to
I
fill.
think of him as shorter, though. Is he smaller?
I don't think he's a short guy, but I got the one for you, and no one's going to beat me on this. Kevin Bacon, the air up there. Him dribbling a basketball.
Michael J. Fox in Teen Wolf.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was believable.
Kevin James was an MMA fighter in a movie.
That's
a
right.
great one.
That's all right.
Kevin Costner, 6'1", by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a tall guy.
Airbud?
Sneaky tall.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Kevin Costner sneaky tall at 6'1"? Let me get to what it is that I missed yesterday, and it's nice to see you, Stugotz, but you denied us yesterday the ability to really be a vibrant, forward-looking show.
I wasn't on the schedule.
Well, I think that you probably negotiated being out after bad Knicks losses. I thought that was part of your negotiations.
Someone told you?
Somebody mentioned that there were some addendums in your contract after Jets losses and Knicks losses. But thankfully, we have a number of New York gas bags at our disposal who was saying all sorts of things yesterday, and perhaps you will take us on a path how it is that it felt to see not just Indiana win, but Indiana then did, the thing that is the most fun in these 3 days for a fan base before you get to the finals, which is Indiana just trolled New York and its fans on social media for the last couple of days. Just the organization itself, Haliburton, all making fun of New York because winners get the last word.
Yeah, Haliburton got Stiller with a good one because Stiller was like, oh, that duffel bag because he's flying back to New York. And Haliburton said, no, we're just trying to pack y'all up, which is pretty hard. But also, it would have been cool if he said it before the game. Yeah. Like to wait till after the result. That's kind of
the Pacers themselves as an organization were making fun of Knicks fans. But let's just get some sound here. We've got Gio here, and Stugotz, you know what this is. After that Knicks loss, WFAN is 20 shares all day because everyone is just screaming and yelling and blaming. Now, it's a weird thing because Amin is correct when he says this was a good Knicks team. Exceeded expectations, I would say. Exceeded the average expectations. Has to be considered a positive season, given that it's the best season in a quarter century for the Knicks franchise. The Knicks franchise does not win playoff series, does not win playoff games. That is a recent phenomenon. And so I'm sure New York radio hosts will be totally reasonable about this. Let's hear from Gio immediately after the single greatest Knicks season this century.
Talking about Karl Anthony Towns.
And they went and they traded for him, and he's making $50 million a year, and at the core, he's a loser. That is their biggest problem. The guy is a loser. He's a losing player. He complains. He is soft. He shows you flashes where he's the best player on the court. Not enough. He doesn't play enough defense. He bitches and moans. He is, up until this point in his career, a loser.
I mean, that's hard to argue with.
It is. It's well done by Gio. You have to stay on the front end before you call a guy a loser that he's making $50 million per year. So
okay, this is not fair commentary to call Karl Anthony Towns a loser. I don't know how both of you are like, that's fair. He
didn't win. I mean,
what has he won?
Yeah.
Right.
He's probably won more games in his career than he's lost.
Oh, those Minnesota years are really bad.
Some lean years, man.
Lean years. Lean
College
cuisine.
and pro, you believe this is a player that has lost more than he has won?
Wait, now we're extending it to college?
But he only played 1 year of college.
High school too, Dan. He was probably undefeated in high school. You're right.
Elementary. I mean, he was
Okay,
crazy.
I would just argue there's little gymnastics being done there. That is just like you can't argue with that. He's lost.
You can argue with calling a human being a loser who's top 1% of the top 1% in a very competitive field at making money. You can argue with that, yes. You can't. It's not Gio did not close down the argument with a truth we can all agree with by saying the factual statement, Karl Anthony Towns is a loser.
Uh-oh. Record for a career, 317 and 328.
Loser.
Dan, who did you call a loser the other day? You called a
That
loser.
college year gets him over the top.
Let me take a
because
look.
They were
Let me
more
take a
than
look.
11 games over 500
like
in Kentucky.
32-0.
They were more than 11 games over 500 in Kentucky. That's why I included the college years. He's over 500.
Heady play.
Thank you. Also, greatest shooting big man I've ever seen.
Oh.
You know, Mike Conley lost more home games in his first week in the NBA than he did his entire life before that, including high school, AAU, college, everything. He lost something like 4 games at home.
And lost 5 games in a week?
Yeah. With the Grizzlies when he was a rookie.
Damn it, they were 38-1.
That was a good team.
It's a good team.
They win a natty?
No, that was a 1.
Loser.
Loser, yeah.
Speaking of losers, the Rockies beat the Marlins yesterday to
come
be
on.
the last team to get to 10 wins.
How?
Terrible.
Speaking
How?
of losers, the Rockies had in their last 31 games on the road won 3 of them.
Not how, more
How?
like who was there to see it?
Oh, that's a good point.
There was
question.
nobody there.
That was a rainy day. It was a
Yeah,
bad rainstorm. Yeah.
Get-
You
oh
were
my God.
mentioning it. There was people gasping in banks of the lightning.
Gasping at this picture. Look at
Garbage
that.
bags
This is
full of
during the
money being
national
handed out.
anthem. There was a good 4 or 5 minutes before first pitch. This is a misleading
So you
photo.
had how many people jumping in?
There were
before?
5,000 people there.
The concession stands look packed, though. That's the thing. Is this park good concession stands? You want to, hang out. Probably checking out the bobblehead museum. That's a thing.
Did anyone get the alligator hot dog? Y'all done that?
What?
They got an alligator hot dog.
At Marlins Park?
Yeah.
Really?
The Gator dog.
Gator dogs.
Yeah.
Huh?
Try it.
Yeah.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Would you like to eat a hot dog made out of alligator at Le Batard Show? I know people say alligator tastes like chicken. Put that on the poll as well.
That's just a thing that you say, though, to get people to eat it. Hey, it tastes like chicken. It doesn't taste like chicken. If it tastes like chicken, I'd eat it.
It does kind of taste like chicken. It's like a mix between chicken and calamari is where Gator lives.
It tastes like a chicken that's been swimming. That's the best way I could put it.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does gator taste like a chicken that's been swimming? When you say that, though, when you say that it's a mix that includes calamari, all of a sudden you're making the texture gamey in a way that even if it tastes like chicken, I am going to be reminded I'm eating alligator, and now my thoughts are getting in the way of my taste.
Why would your thoughts get in the way? I want to be present with my thoughts. When I eat alligator, the first thing I do before I take the first bite, I was like, yeah, you thought you were top of the food chain. Guess again. And then I take that big bite, and I want to savor like this guy thinks he's the apex predator. Guess what, buddy? A little bit higher than you. There's an apex over the apex. It's called man.
But when you think of the animal you're eating, it ruins the experience a bit, right? When I think of a turkey and I'm eating a turkey sandwich, I think of the poor turkey, and it ruins my experience.
I think of turkeys are very aggressive, asshole type birds. I'm like, oh, you thought you were just a big bully on the block? Guess what? Now you're my sandwich.
What's the animal you feel the most guilty about eating?
None.
I mean, it's kind of evolution.
Lamb for me.
Yeah.
Lamb, are you kidding me?
That was delicious.
Lamb this is what I think about when I eat lamb. It's like, oh, you thought your mommy was going to protect you and everything. Like, guess again.
We found a picture of later in the game if you want to see it.
That is not accurate.
Wait a second.
That is
I told
not
you guys.
accurate.
The flag is still up,
That's
too.
good, Billy. I appreciate
Packed
you
house.
doing that photoshopping and just changing fake news.
Not a Japanese flag,
World
yeah.
baseball. It's
Well,
clearly
they
the
honored,
World
you know, all the
Baseball
people
Classic.
playing,
Yes,
so.
Right.
it's good
Pretty
that you
cool.
would make
It was nice
only
they did
a
that last night.
visual joke there to exclude the audio audience. You're always producing in a way that is inclusive for everybody.
YouTube, you know? It's the wave of the future.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, please. Does something being gamey ruin eating for you?
Yes.
Because I don't want gamey and chewy with my protein.
I love the game.
Gotta love the game, man. For the love of the game.
Love the game.
So we had Gio's opinion given on Karl Anthony Towns. Chris Cody said it's inarguable and a fact. Karl Anthony Towns is a loser. No more words need to be expressed on this subject. The subject is closed. No one's allowed to disagree with the assessment that the greatest shooting big man there's ever been, and someone paid at the top 1% of the top 1% of a pretty competitive field, is simply a loser. No other submissions on opinions will be allowed by Chris Cody, who says that the entire committee has closed, gone home, it's over. Karl Anthony Towns is a loser, and it's forevermore, you're saying, right? This is not
Zagacki.
Until he wins. I mean,
Right. For this season.
Come on.
For this season, until the next season starts, loser.
Okay, but he won more than all the teams but 4 in the sport. He won more, but still a loser.
According to Thibs, did you guys see what he did in his press conference? We made the final 3 because their series was still going. It's like,
I
dude,
love
we
that.
made the final
Yes.
4.
Yeah.
He's just like, we made the final 3.
Yeah.
You know what? Good point by Tibbs.
Great
I
point.
did math poorly there. They were one of the final 3 teams.
By schedule.
Their
Yes.
season was a game longer
Third
than
place.
Minnesota's. They are the bronze medalists
Yes.
on playing games. bronze medalist, either the second loser or just a loser, but we can agree the bronze medalist is a loser. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the bronze medalist a winner or a loser?
Clearly ahead of Minnesota.
Well, depending on how the finals play out, they may. I'll look into it. They may have played more games than one of the teams in the finals based on how quickly the series goes. So they could be a silver medalist in terms of games played this season.
No. Put it
Yes,
on
they
the
can.
poll at Le Batard Show. Go ahead, Stugotz. Ask the poll question.
Did the Knicks finish in third?
Let's play the sound here of Sal being more Sal than Gio is. He is talking about Tyrese Haliburton, and he is contorting himself in order to give New York the credit for Haliburton being relevant.
New York put you on the map. You don't run bleep. We put you on the map. Whether it's Wally Zerbiak saying he's overrated, whether it's his performance against the Knicks a year ago, whether it's the Knicks choking one in game one, allowing him to again be the villain with the choke sign. Without New York, nobody gives a crap about you, Tyrese Haliburton. You don't run squat. Here's what you better hope you run. You better hope you don't run into a buzzsaw in the Thunder in the finals. Because beating the Knicks is not the trophy that you should be trying to get here. You've done that now a couple of times. So stop with the I run New York stuff. Stop with your girlfriend on social media. Go New York, go New York, go home. Enough. Without New York, you're nothing. We made you. We run you.
Oh, 20 shares.
Yeah.
Now I
Right,
get it.
by the
Stu.
way.
I get it.
Like, Tony, you played basketball growing up, right?
did.
You played pretty high level high school. You played in college. But as you go older and you got to play against people, NBA players, right? You start to see, oh my God, like there's such a gap.
There's levels.
There's levels to this. I heard that, Dan. I know a lot of people in my group chat were like laughing and some people were angry, whatever. And I was like, man, that guy's good at this radio thing, huh? Yeah. Wow.
I don't think that's good at this radio thing.
What?
Because I don't think that after the New York Knicks have lost that way, this is a sentence that could come out of your mouth.
We made you. We run you.
That's the dismount, though, Dan. What a dismount.
Musical. You always talk about
Yes.
this thing being like music. That's music right
He
there.
had to go to break there and be like, I sound ridiculous.
No.
No
He
way.
killed it.
Are you kidding me?
He's like, got him.
They applauded like NASA when they got the guys back from Apollo 13.
Standing
Everyone was
ovation.
like,
Yes.
We made you.
Yeah.
We run you.
The producer in the back saluted him.
The Knicks presently lead the NBA in games played this season because they had longer series in each round than the two teams that made the finals. However, their lead is only 2 games. So they will finish, even if it's a sweep, 2 games shorter than the longest.
too bad.
Yeah, but it's close.
Stugotz, finally,
Yeah.
way too late. After the parade float has left, leaving only litter behind, can you please give us your exclusive New York Knicks thoughts as someone who just experienced the best Knicks season in 25 years, raising the expectations to a place where, of course, New York fans, and we knew this was going to end this way, if the Knicks season was going to end, it wasn't going to end with Brunson being blamed for anything. If the Knicks season was going to end and it was going to be a product of failing to meet expectations, the place where you're going to put the most expectations is on the big guy that is bigger than everyone else and has 1 block in the entire series. And now you read all the reports. Surely, Amin, you've read these reports as well, that all of the Knicks were frustrated all season about Karl Anthony Towns doesn't know how to play defense, doesn't know when to do what, doesn't know his assignments, and all of that unraveled toward the end of the season when the wheels fell off because all of the Knicks were exhausted because they were only playing 6 players.
So it was incredible reporting by Fred Katz and by James Edwards III for The Athletic. A lot of people were like, oh, so they just had this ready to go? I said, yes, this is how journalism works. We have the autopsy written as soon as a team is entering elimination phase. You got to have it ready to go because that's the number one time people want to read about what went wrong that season. And so in it, they're talking about a lot of things. It's not just about Towns. It covers almost everything. Everyone's got a little blame in there. Probably Brunson's the only one who goes off unscathed. But with regards to Towns, it's that attention to detail. Now, you got to remember, they're coming from a year ago. They were exact opposite. They were scrappy offensively, but defensively they were elite. This year, they were an elite offensive team, but the defense kind of waned. And you remember on the show, I was telling you guys, I'm not confident in this defense. It's good enough for the 82-game season where nobody cares, and we're Milwaukee tonight, tomorrow we're in Cleveland, the night after that in Chicago. But when you get to the playoffs and people are game planning and they're attacking weaknesses, there were just too many, and one of them was Karl Anthony Towns, his either non-desire or non-ability to execute defensive schematics, right? And that's exactly what we saw Indiana attack. If you think about Game 6, that run in the fourth quarter where they started blowing wide open, what was it? It was Tyrese Haliburton, high pick and roll. Cat is sagging in the paint, and Tyrese's like, okay, I'm just going to go and hit this floater that I'm excellent at. And he did it again and again and again.
Those floaters, though, God almighty, they're just killers.
Backbreakers.
They're those floaters. He hit 3 straight floaters, and each of them was like, that's got to bounce off the rim. Like, that shouldn't go in clean.
It's a terrible job by those players for holding on to that Karl Anthony Towns was not willing to play defense, that he's soft until after the Knicks loss. Say it while the season's going on.
Well, I think they may have actually said it to the reporters, and the reporters just held it.
Well, then a terrible job by those reporters. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, but Amin's telling you that it's standard operating procedure, that everyone's got their autopsy for the things that went wrong when you start blaming people.
Allow me to be the one to criticize Jalen Brunson, okay? Because he's our best player. He's the guy. He's the reason. Because Dallas didn't think he was very good. The Knicks thought he was going to be good. Not this good, but he's turned out to be great. He got them to the Eastern Conference semifinals a year ago, Eastern Conference finals this year. We also, conveniently forget that Jason Tatum got hurt in the series against the Knicks for Boston. But Jalen Brunson is the leader of that team. He is the leader. Jalen Brunson, how about you work on your defense? Because when they see the leader, because he's a defensive liability for that team, when the rest of the team sees the guy who's the leader, who's never going to be criticized, working hard to improve his defensive game, the rest of them will fall in line. This is on Jalen Brunson. You can blame Karl Anthony Towns all you want. Jalen Brunson is their best player. If he wins, he gets all the credit. And when they lose, he deserves at least a portion of the blame.
Let me ask you this, Amin, because I remember the most common criticism of Shaquille O'Neal was some form of work on your free throws. And all I would see Shaquille O'Neal doing was working on his free throws. It's not that he didn't care about his free throws, it's that he wasn't good at it. When Stugotz demands Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson be better at defense, I don't think they can be. I don't think they know how to be. I don't think that they have the footwork and speed and quickness and size, both of them, to be what they have to be on defense. I think they're limited there, and no amount of will make them better at defense. Do I have it wrong?
So, first of all, for Shaq, you're absolutely right. Obviously, I was with him for a year and a half in Phoenix, and he shot something like 80 to 85% in the practice court. And it's not just that he made them; his form looked different. So his whatever anxiety he felt at the free throw line was so crippling that it changed his form. It made him look like he was just kind of shot putting it. When he's on the practice court, he's shooting jump shots. He's pulling up off the dribble. He's mimicking other players. It was pretty intense to watch, to see someone go from so confident to just something completely different in game scenario. But to answer your question, I disagree. I do think so. For Brunson, there is a physical element. He's small, so there's only so much he can do. He was one of the league leaders, I believe, in charges taken, so that's good. He's good in that sense. But I think like he can do more if he's doing less offensively, because that's the other part of it. It's like he has to carry so much of the offensive burden. All we did was praise how great he was in fourth quarters and clutch time. That energy comes from somewhere, and he's borrowing from a defense reservoir probably, right? As far as Towns goes, I don't see anything physically preventing him from being a good defensive player. It's literally just mental focus, right? What we're talking about is, like, for instance, those Haliburton floaters. You know what he wants to do. Right. You got to go up and greet him up there. You got to meet him at the screen level, and you can't sag. You can't play that drop coverage. You know this. You know what the defensive game plan is. This is just a guy who either is forgetful or doesn't care, one of the two.
Man,
I forgot to play defense.
I have a hard time.
It's hard to say he doesn't care.
I have a hard time believing that the problems with Karl Anthony Towns aren't matchup problems when they bring to him matchups meant to exploit the fact that he's very big and he is graceful enough offensively for that size, but can be slow-footed on defense and is only good on defense when he's got a Gobert next to him or a Mitchell Robinson because, it's crazy to say that someone that size had one block in the Indiana series and had one block the last time that they were in the Western Conference Finals.
At the core, he's a loser.
Dan, I'm going to tell you what it is, right? Tom Thibodeau, his staff, they're under no illusions of what he is capable of doing and not capable of doing. So they design the defensive schemes to take that into account. It's not like, hey, you got to switch on to Haliburton and guard him like you're Evan Mobley. They know he's not that. They know he can't do that. But they do have schemes that they want to do. Now, this is what coaches always say. We're going to draw up the scheme. You do it this way. If it does not work, that's our bad. If you execute the way we told you to do it and we still get beat, we're still getting scored on, that's our bad, right? We got to go back to the drawing board and figure out something else. But if you never do the scheme that we told you to do, how can we ever know? And it sounds like from the reporting, he wasn't doing the schemes.
Okay, but let's do it this way, okay? Because you can make the arguments that this is a person that is mentally deficient on defense. They will have more information than us on that. I can say resolutely and flatly, can I not? Karl Anthony Towns is not a good rim protector. Yes or no? You agree with that or you disagree? Karl Anthony Towns is not a rim protector.
I agree.
He wasn't this season, no.
Yes or no? He's a good rim protector. Yes or no?
Not this season, no.
He said no.
The Panthers not trying to capture Lord Stanley's cup starting tomorrow. Why are we talking about Cat and his rim protecting ability? Jeez Louise.
He is, up until this point in his career, a loser.
I have in front of me, there is only one player in the entire league to win a game in the conference finals last year and win multiple conference finals games this year. His name is Karl Anthony Towns.
Huh.
It's the only player in the sport.
Loser.
A loser.
How many Larry O'Briens does he have, though?
0.
I don't believe that rim protecting of Karl Anthony Towns is something that he's deficient at because he doesn't care about being good at it.
A loser.
Do you understand how insulting it is to say that of somebody? Do you understand how little it regards what athletes have to do when someone's not good at something and you say, well, they don't care enough to be great at it?
Dan, I'm not using a blanket statement here because he wasn't good at it. As ipso facto, he doesn't care. I'm telling you, based on the reporting, his own teammates felt like he didn't care. And that's different, right? That's a very different thing. We're not doing sports talk radio just calling him, oh, he doesn't care or whatever. We're going off of very good reporting from very good reporters who are tapped into that team. And when we read that and we know that, like, this is how they feel about him internally, that's where we're the launching point for all of this is.
He's a loser.
Dan, what do you do with the fact when a guy has all the physical traits, all the physical ability to be a good defender at the rim, and yet he's not? What do you do with that?
What do you do with Shaq being good at free throws in practice, and then he gets in front of the game and he's not good at free throws? Like, Karl Anthony Towns has never been regarded by anybody as a good defensive player, and it just is wildly insulting to assume that that's so simply because someone doesn't care enough about being a professional.
Loser.
Dan, I made them win the count.
He didn't.
Yes, I did.
There was a Detroit series where he didn't make any of the ones that needed to count.
There was a Detroit series where I did. You forgot about that one.
Could the answer be that he's just slow?
Loser.
Yes.
Right? And like that, and that's the reason
Maybe.
why he's a bad defender. He's just really slow and plodding.
Well,
like that's the thing. If you work on your agility, your quickness, like maybe you can be a better defender.
Loser.
The interesting thing about you saying slow is that his teammates are saying it's mentally slow.
Loser.
That the teammates aren't even saying that it's physically slow. It's that he doesn't understand what his assignments are on defense. How many times in that series, Stugotz, were you frustrated because the 7th pass to Indiana was making at the end of the shot clock was the one that was wide open in the corner for the most efficient shot? Wide open because they were taking it right before the shot clock because he wasn't doing whatever he had to do on some sort of rotation.
Loser.
I was frustrated the same amount at Karl Anthony Towns as I was at Jalen Brunson for playing.
I will tell you that I think this is what's happening here, Amin, and I think it's what's also happening with his teammates. They're just doing this physically. Jalen's trying hard because look how small he is.
Of course.
Look at how good Karl Anthony
optics
Towns
factor into it.
Yeah,
yes.
but perception's not reality. Reality is reality. Like, okay, optics factor into it. They lost, and therefore you call him a loser. I generally am not willing to say that somebody at the top of their profession doesn't care about their profession.
But Dan, when you have a guy of that size with those physical traits, with ridiculous ability, he does for a guy who is that tall. And the last 3 seasons, he's 0.6 blocks per game. You have to start questioning some things.
I'm saying that he's not good at block shots. That he's cement-footed.
He was though.
But also, Dan, like, not caring comes in many different forms. Not caring could be like, man, I don't care. Like, that's, I think, how you're taking it. But there's another form where it's like, hey, I really need you to lock in. All right, cool. Walk out there, and he forgot what we're doing. Like, that's a level of not caring. It's not a dismissive not caring. It's not like he doesn't feel remorse for it, but it's still a level of you didn't care enough to execute.
I would argue at this point, if you're having trouble with the playbook, it might not be caring. It might be some sort of mental deficiencies that make for difficulty with what the playbook is. Like, and perhaps that is also insulting, but I'm simply...
Yeah, would you rather be told you don't care or you're dumb?
I mean...
I'd rather be told I don't care.
If I'm dumb but I do care and I'm trying, then, there's that.
There is that with you.
I mean, your thoughts here on which one's more insulting, because I do believe we can just have the assessment. It's allowed. He's not good at this.
Loser.
I would definitely not want anyone to question my mental ability to do anything. I would rather you think that I'm just lazy or I don't care or I'm dismissive 1,000,000 times before I have anyone call me a dumbass out there.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Which would bother you more? People thinking you're lazy or people thinking you're dumb?
I get both, so.
Turns out Shaq won 4 NBA titles. Not a loser.
Not a loser.
Not a loser. It doesn't matter about his free throws.
3 straight, I think.
4-time champion.
Made him when they count.
You said that Karl Anthony Towns is a loser. I skated in with the math, and from my math friends, he's slightly over 500 since his college career. What do you imagine the Knicks record is over the last 25 years? Is Karl Anthony Towns the loser, or is the organization the loser? Do you think the Knicks have won more than they've lost the last 25 years?
The funny thing about this entire conversation, he's 6 wins away from being the savior. I mean, ridiculous.
I understand why we call athletes losers. In no walk of life or occupation does the way that man is measured end up with any other person of comparable skills being called a loser.
Knicks are 869 and 1139 between June 3rd, 2000 and June 3rd, 2025.
They run Haliburton.
Losers.
New York runs Haliburton. From watching the next round,
Watch.
New York is running
Loser.
Tyrese Haliburton.
Sal is right about that, though, right?
Loser.
We don't talk about Haliburton when he's playing the Bucks. We don't talk about Haliburton except when he plays the Knicks every year in the playoffs. We made Haliburton.
I have said before
Good job by Sal.
that New York, when it comes to the math of things, is always time-squaring everyone's importance, including the failed realtor that's now president of the United States. Because when you're a fraud there, you can be a fraud anywhere.
We made you. We run you.
Such a great dismount, man. I don't know.
it?
It's a what? Play it again.
We made you. We run you.
It's that rhythm. Yeah.
It does have song in it. It does have the quintessential New York arrogance that you want. It just doesn't allow for the fact that your season is over.
We made you. We run you.
Their season being over is what made him in.
Yeah.
Did he have like 2 seconds left on the clock? And he's like, we run you. And then he's like, shit, I got 2 more seconds, so I got to say something else. It just felt forced. Like
Quick on his feet, though.
You dismounted, and then you did something else.
We made you.
2 seconds left.
We run you.
We've all been there, though.
It's so good, though. in how empty it is.
We made you. We run you.
4-2, they lost.
After he's eliminated you.
We made you. We run you.
The Pacers are one of the great underdogs to ever make the finals. The Pacers would be, if they won the championship, the single most surprising team to ever win the championship in that sport. Ever.
No, not ever. 75 Warriors.
Ooh. Who was on that team?
I've had that one.
He's had that take before.
Al Attles.
Best player?
You could say in the last 50 years, though.
Nate Thurman. Rick Barry.
What were the
your arch nemesis?
I mean, Nate the Great.
What were the 75 Warriors in terms of record? What were they as an underdog before the season? And what were they as a seed?
I think the answer to all those things are going to confirm what I'm saying, which is because this was a team that was designed to fail. They wanted to tank that season because they were trying to move the team. And Al Attles was given control, and they said, hey, man, go whatever you want. And he actually went out and loaded the roster with black players, which was at the time unheard of.
48 and 34 in their season in 74-75. Rick Barry, 30 points a game. Wow.
Rick Barry was killing.
He was a baller.
6 assists.
Yeah.
And the Pacers won how many this year? 50?
Yep.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if I can say that it is more surprising to have a black team that we weren't expecting to be black win the championship.
Led by a white guy.
Yeah, but you just said something about the 75 Warriors that suggested that when they were white, nobody expected anything from them, and then they became a black team led by Rick Barry, they won the championship.
No, what I said was
not what he said.
What I said was the team was designed to fail because they were trying to move the team, and so they told Al Attles, get whoever you want, and so he got a bunch of black players, and they're like, yeah, whatever, knock yourself out. And that's the idea was this is going according to plan. This was a team that was planning to tank the season. So before you asked me, what were there before the season, what before the finals, all that stuff. Though throughout the whole way, everyone was like, this team is going to fail. Even as they got to the finals, they're playing the Bullets, and everyone said, okay, that was a nice little Cinderella run you guys did, but you're going to get your ass beat now. And what did they end up doing, Tony?
Sweep.
Yeah.
They swept them.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
So, Stugotz, we'll let this go after this, and we will get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a second. But Carl Banks, do any people in the shipping container know who Carl Banks is or why the name Carl Banks is an important one?
Of course. Cousin of Fresh Prince Will Smith.
Carl Banks is a former champion linebacker for the New York Giants, and he says, Stugotz, Giannotti's take. Which one is Giannotti? Is it Gio or is it Sal?
Gio is ripping cat.
Giannotti?
Yeah.
You think he calls
Best
himself
guess
Sal?
here, yeah. Which one would you
I don't know
guess?
whether it's Sal Giannotti or Gio Giannotti.
It's a fair question, Dan. I mean, I'm with you.
Look, those New York gas bags who get mad, I've been listening to them for 30 years on that platform. They all run together.
They're all named Giannotti. Carton Giannotti.
Right.
Stugotz
All of them.
Giannotti. They're all Giannotti.
Sid Giannotti.
They're
Doug Giannotti.
They're all felons. They're all
Pope Giannotti.
They're all
Whoa, that
people
seems-
whose opinions you cannot trust. And Carl Banks says of Giannotti, quote, "This is genuinely pathetic. Calling a man you've never met a loser says more about you than it ever could about him. I've known Cat and his family since he was a kid. Bona fide. There's absolutely nothing about him that resembles a loser. Try being a better human instead of broadcasting this ignorant shit."
Loser.
Gio's response is, "You still owe me $50 from an appearance I made in Pittsburgh on your show."
Attaboy. That is sports
In
radio, baby.
2010. In 2010, Gio says you owe me $50 from an appearance I made 15 years ago.
Better come back. That one or Greg Doyle, you can read about it tomorrow.
Forgive me, I've got it wrong. It was $500, not $50.
Say $50 is cheap.
Yeah.
My fault. 500 is pretty good for 2010.
That's nice.
2010.
That's Carl
Nice
Banks.
now.
Carl Banks was paying pretty well, I would say. During that, I don't know why he would be.
Why would Banks be paying?
I don't know.
Did he run a radio station?
I don't know. I don't know why Gio is accusing Banks of owing him $500. Perhaps he thinks his last name is literal on Banks.
Uncle Phil had a lot of money, man. He lived a nice life in Bel Air.
Thank you, Amin. Please keep that joke going all show. I think it's a winner. The thing that's happening in the kitchen right now.
Not unusual.
The thing that's happening in the kitchen right now is both upsetting to me and insulting to Billy. Billy yesterday, as an act of kindness, brought in pastelitos. He was accused yesterday of just bringing over leftovers from a weekend party at his house.
Looks like 2 have been eaten.
And he's eaten them both. They're still there from yesterday.
Yeah.
Los pastelitos.
Wait, that's yesterday's food?
Just the pastelitos.
Some are saying it's actually from Sunday, but
Somehow the sandwiches look like they're
The
yesterday's.
sandwiches were put there today, and they have been eaten by the Wolverines who live here. The pastelitos have been left alone. And
Sandwiches look like they've been there 3 months.
they're
buns of-
dangerous too, though, because those sandwiches often have like hidden toothpicks in them,
Yep.
where like they can rip open your innards.
Having said that, I've just had one of the sandwiches, and you know what? Finger food, because I had it and I went,
Nice.
and that's it. I'm clean.
That can't be a finger food. It's a sandwich.
It's a finger food. When they cut it up into
A
quarters like
sandwich
that,
quarter can be a finger
it
food.
becomes a finger food. If it was a full sandwich, no.
Put it on the poll. Is a full sandwich a finger food? Because that was a full sandwich, and they've just been cut up in pieces. Again, we're getting off point. The sandwiches are one thing. They were put there today, and you have seen what happened. Bacon sandwiches, gone. First off the shelf, they fly out. Stugotz grabs just the bacon from inside them, walks around with grease on his fingers, no plate, just eats the bacon. You see that nothing around here can stay out without being eaten except for Billy's pastelitos.
Except for my act of kindness.
The first thing in the history of our consumption that
And
I have
last.
seen just sit there.
There's been some gluten-free stuff at Jess Springs that we've kind of let sit there.
This is the part, though, that I wanted to ask both Tony and Billy, because you may have noticed that Amin, being in South Florida just occasionally, has developed a great many cultural impressions locally where he'll have food like flan for breakfast. And I don't know Cubans who will have flan for breakfast because that's a dessert, but Amin has absorbed the local culinary treats.
I'm offended, man. You think flan is just yours, man? Flan is a global phenomenon. When I grew up in Sudan, it was called creme caramel. Creme caramel. That's
That
what
could
they
be
call
also
it.
Spanish too.
Again, creme caramel is different than flan. Flan is the Cuban one, and
It's all the same thing.
it's not all the same
all the
thing.
same
They're
thing,
they're not all
Dan,
the same
trust me.
thing.
I will say,
Same
Amin,
family.
Amin loves Hispanic food. Amin loves Cuban food. He's always in it. When there's vaca frita, he's there, the first one eating it. So I'm going to give him a commemorative Cuban.
Congratulations, Amin.
My brother.
Congratulations.
Way to
So
go.
he can talk about the pastelitos if you need.
Well, but the opposite of that, I would say, is Stugotz. Stugotz has lived in South Florida all his life. He looked at the pastelitos and said, "What are those?"
Yep.
Come on.
I mean,
You
I
know
did.
You know what they are.
I don't. I've never had one. I have to be honest.
You've lived here for 20,000 years. You've never had a pastelito ever?
No.
I can't. That's not true.
You've had it. You just didn't know what it was called.
Perhaps.
The flakiness, the guava, he doesn't.
The cheese. Oh,
Yes,
delicious.
he would like it, but apparently no one likes Billy's pastelitos because I can't tell you how rare it is for a dessert to last 5 minutes
Anything
around
to
here.
last.
You know what
Yeah.
you want me to be honest, Dan? You want my honest opinion? They're dry.
A little on the dry side.
Tan seco.
I mean,
Como
you
andar a
got,
pie.
you got here a day after they arrived.
I
though.
know,
you
but I'm
weren't
just
here
saying,
yesterday.
right now they look dry.
When Gino rejects it, you got to take a look in the mirror.
And they arrived the day after they were made.
I
Which are
took a
also
look in the
dry.
mirror, and I'm proclaiming right now, I'm never doing anything nice for this office again. Like
The bakery
I'm
you got
not.
him from.
Look,
The bakery
I-
you got him from. Is that a usual place for you, or is that something that you were like, oh, I'm kind of
Don't
close,
worry
I'll just
about
get
where
there?
I got it. They're never going to be in this office again. Neither will a kind
I
gesture
haven't
from me.
tasted them.
I'm telling you right now. Look, I would not describe myself as overly nice. I would also not describe myself as overly mean. I would describe myself in this office setting as quiet, and I somewhat keep to myself. I have my little groups. I go and I talk in my groups. I come in, I do my job, and I go home. But I will say this. I could create a lot more problems in this office based on my stature here than I do.
Right.
And if my kindness is going to be rewarded with not eating my kindness, then we may start experimenting with how far I can start pushing things here in this
Problems are
office.
coming.
I'm just saying, I tried. And I view this as an act of war by everyone. I was told by someone this morning with a straight face, while Dan was out there trying to stir things up, saying, look, no one's eating your pastelitos, he. And he was trying to rub it in my face and get me angry with my coworkers. I was told by someone, while they were almost mid-bite, eating something else, that the reason that they could not eat my pastelito is because they were on a diet. Mid-bite, eating something else. Chris was there. He witnessed this conversation.
Oh, I saw
was
that.
told, I can't eat this.
She
I'm on a
was
diet.
eating deviled eggs. I saw her.
I didn't say.
I think
Wouldn't we all agree
was.
that that's healthier than
A deviled egg.
pastelito?
I'm just saying.
It's a healthier option.
It was a
I'm
soft
quiet.
boiled
I
egg.
keep on my best behavior. But if people are going to be agitating me and poking the bear, I can make messes.
So just say-
there are people here that make messes
So
behind the scenes. They come on here and they do their thing, and then behind the scenes they go and they throw their weight around. That's not me, friends. I come in and I keep to myself. I punch in, I punch out. Then I walk across the street in the rain to the parking spot that I got across the street, which we don't have to talk about while I play Human Frogger every day, trying not to get hit by a car. Sometimes wondering if I do. I mean, Bird's going to have to pay for that one. But if I bring you pastelitos,
Wait, so I can't politely decline because of a diet?
no, don't lie to my face and tell me you're on a diet while you're scarfing down a bunch of other.
What?
This is
Well,
what
I mean, you on a
eggs.
diet is not believable. I
This
mean,
is what happened yesterday, and it's the truth. Billy put the pastelitos down, and Chris tried to soothe Billy by saying, among other things, it's a Monday. Generally, people are dieting on Monday. The pastelitos, the dry pastelitos, would have been eaten if it had not been Monday.
Thursday or Friday, though, smack.
anything goes.
And by the way, Ethan, cut that out trying to now give me pity pastelito. You know what? They're going in the trash. This is done.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Oh, no, get
Billy,
him.
don't throw him away.
Get him
Wait
now.
a second.
Billy, no one.
Tony hasn't tried one.
Get him now.
I'm on a fast.
Get him now, guys.
I tried, Dan. No more.
He's still in here. All right. Now he's going.
My response to people on a Monday are dieting was not when there's good food available. Monday
Which is fair.
is never a problem. I have never seen anything in our history just not consumed in any way.
Look how hard the bite he had to take was. Dan,
That was a
like-
hard bite.
You broke it too? Dry, man. Dry.
Oh, he's stomping back. He's stomping back. Everyone be quiet.
Take one of these. I'll take one.
He's not giving them away anymore. Now he's keeping he's gonna
Are
spike.
these guayaba or are they queso guayaba? What are they?
Tony,
They're
get your,
guayaba. There's no cheese in here. And I was going to throw them away, but that's wasteful, and I'm not doing that.
Tony, get your hands
I'm
on
eating
one.
it.
Let's see how
I'm on
hard
a-
they
I'm on
are.
a fast. I can't.
No, just give it a feel.
Try it out, Tom.
Manitos atrás.
Slap the shit
He
out
won't
of
let
your
me
hand.
grab it. yeah.
Billy, can I try one?
No, you cannot.
I didn't
You
say
could've
anything
tried
bad
one.
about
You could
him.
have tried one this morning. You're not having anything.
I've never
Keep
had
in
one
mind
before.
now.
This would be my first. I want to try one.
You'll never have a first. Never.
Do you want water? I can get you water.
I don't want water. You're delicious.
He definitely needs
You're
water.
cleansing
You
my
better have
palate.
water. You better have water.
He's gonna choke.
Because those things are like eating sandpaper.
Delicious sandpaper.
Not nice, man.
Sandpaper from the finest beach.
It's gotta.
Kind act.
I've got the
Sandpaper from Barbados. Beautiful pink sandpaper.
the pastelito needs cheese. Like you're going. Tony, would you agree?
I think that if you have a guayaba pastelito, it needs to be very soft, right? The flakiness of the pastelito dough needs to be extremely soft. So when you bite it, you have the contrast of the softness with the guava. If you're gonna have guava and cheese together, you can get away with a little bit of a harder shell because you have more of the crunch because you need more to grab to then pull it out.
It requires, though, the cheese. This is what has happened here. That is
Billy just said the cheese ruins it. That's
Cheese
never
ruins
been
it.
said about anything. Like cheese
No.
ruins nothing.
Cheese makes everything better.
No,
Everything's
not this.
better.
It's like pasty cheese. It's like cream cheese in the middle of guayaba. Ooh, no.
Love it.
Yeah, not for me.
So good.
Well, that's because you guys are idiots and
It's
you don't
great.
appreciate a good thing.
That may be so. I will say, though, that when you make the gift from yesterday's party something that stands in the kitchen for 2 days and gets drier, if that doesn't also have cheese, I'm like, this is the cheapest bakery thing there can be. As
Not in this economy, friends. Oof.
That's why I asked, what bakery did you get it from? It was like a local spot? Is it somewhere that you go?
I have told you guys before that I have seen the carnivores and the Wolverines around here. They leave with pastelito flakes in their pockets when the pastelitos are good.
Fresh.
Something was deemed cardboard here. Something was deemed basically.
Yeah, the hearts of all these I work with. That's what's cardboard. Try to be nice. Share with you a moment in time, something from my child's birthday the day before. Yes, it was recycled.
You had
No,
leftovers
save
that you just wanted to dump on us. Come on. Like, what are we doing here?
it. I could have dumped them on my wife's coworkers. I'm telling you right now.
She dumped something else on the coworkers.
She brought something to
They-
the rest
No.
of those.
She has a pastelito de carne.
She had
No.
bocaditos.
They got the good
and
ones?
Those got eaten.
evil.
Falsehoods. No, those that ended up not even making it to the office. That was a plan. But then they were like, you know what? Those are staying with us. Yeah, exactly. Those stayed home.
This is what happened. I go to the thrift store. I grab my receipt for the things that I've bought to Goodwill. And those were things that I was otherwise going to discard. And now I'm getting a tax deduction on something that looks like charity. Billy might as well have brought those in the garbage bag from the garbage can that was behind his house after the party.
I think we all had the same reaction. You've never been to a thrift store. I mean,
No, I've been. I go to the Salvation Army all the time.
Do
with
you?
Things. Yes. Why would I lie
Tax
about
write-off.
it?
Tax
the
write-off,
time.
dude. Tax
You asked for a receipt. They're asking, you
do.
want a receipt? I'm like, no, I
Take
just
a
want to be
selfie next
kind.
time.
Here, this is charity.
Okay.
Salvation Army every week.
Again, though, it feels like an act of generosity. All I'm doing is getting things out of my house.
Oh,
Billy, the question is, did the lady at the bakery
No
call
more
you mi amor
questions. No
or
more
no?
questions. Don't talk to me.
Time now for Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
I struggle throwing things away, man. I do. I don't like partying with things from my childhood or my past. I'm a hoarder. You throw things away?
I do.
Interesting. Anyway, weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Dan, it was once bigger than Oprah, the biggest podcast in the world. But after Project came up and took precedence, it got lost in the shuffle. But Dan, a fire has been lit deep inside of me, and this underdog is ready to rise. Because, Dano, I brought it back. And just like that, make no mistake about it, the Stupidity podcast feed is still alive and back.
Nice.
I had no idea where it was. Yeah.
I got a notification.
I
the
had to
other
dig
day.
around. I had to find it. And
Stugotz,
found
not
it.
to interrupt you, but it's kind of like in the movies where you get like on the radar, they think every ship has been destroyed, and on the radar you get the boop, boop. Like, what's that? It's Stupidity.
it never died.
The SS Stupidity is still alive.
It was at the bottom of the depth of the ocean. It's on its way back up.
Like, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. That's how you made us bigger than Oprah. Do it again. New York Knicks, the rare team that was built to beat the Celtics but not win a championship.
They were built to beat the Celtics and no one else. They really hadn't accounted for the architectural flaw of what if the team ahead of you isn't the Celtics?
What if you don't meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Worldwide West is going over to Leon Rose and saying, we didn't think of this. We had it figured out for the Celtics. Why didn't we do it for the Pacers?
It's like there's something about Mary where it's like 5-minute abs. He's like, that's great until someone comes out with 4-minute abs. No. It's 5-minute abs.
New York added Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns just to lose to the same Pacers team. What are we doing? When Thomas Bryant is out playing your superstar, you know what you do?
You call your superstar a loser.
That's exactly right. You know.
Yeah.
You also pack it up. Season's over.
That was funny to watch Thomas Bryant at the center of all special
Where'd he come
things.
from?
He was more active in that series on defense than Karl Anthony Towns was.
The Thomas Bryant minutes.
Yes. Cat, not a winning player. In fact, the Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns trade, the rare trade that went from a win-win to a lose-lose.
I'd like to put in front of the group the person in sports that most deserves this loser label that so many people are willing to give if somebody has expectations that come with winning and then they lose.
It's got to be Cat or Durant.
Loser.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Loser.
I don't believe that Kevin Durant is viewed as a loser
Loser.
anymore. That's not. I don't think that's a real thing.
Has it ever been a thing?
Do you guys have any nominees for this? Like somebody who is just considered a loser? Like
Career loser?
No, but just it can't be just loses. It has to be you have expectations for that person because of their gifts. Like Ben Simmons would be somebody who would get this.
Jerry West went to the finals 9 times, only won once.
Mike Trout.
He's the logo.
Mike Trout's.
He shouldn't be the logo. It should be Jordan, but Jerry West is a good one.
I don't think that people do loser on Mike Trout. They know he's great and plays for a bad team.
If they're not doing it, they should.
It's him and Ohtani. They couldn't do anything.
Ohtani got away from 1 year later. Boom, champion. I mean, what is it?
Loser.
Yep. I've never felt older
Loser.
than somebody trying to explain to me what the pink drugs were that Stephon Diggs had on that boat.
What were they?
I don't know.
Pop Rocks.
Combined with, because now the Patriots are doing investigations and stuff, right? It's
what you do.
It's a whole thing.
They kind of have to.
You investigate.
It's what you say.
That
You say that,
franchise.
when I see they're doing that, I'm like, that's good.
They have
they
to
should
do
be
that.
doing
Back to work, by the way, running drills on Monday.
They have to say they're doing it. Do they actually do it? They don't have to really do it. Just say that you're doing it. Just give the impression that we're
It's like the Dolphins
But
bully
looking
gate
into
thing.
things.
Have any of
you
you
know?
guys got an explanation? Please forgive my lack of intelligence when it comes to drugs. Are there theories being floated on exactly what that was? Because you would have to explain it to me.
Drugs? In the Ronald McDonald, there were no drugs. Yeah, someone said. What are you talking about?
So no one's going to help me with this. Okay, great. Thank
No
you.
but.
never felt older.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
There.
So you guys don't know what the Pop Rocks were or what combines with the
This
Pop
is
Rocks,
not Pop Rocks.
to make it drug use?
I call it the pink.
Okay. Tussie?
Ooh,
2C,
fine.
not stovetop.
It's told allegedly. Some people might think allegedly it could be ketamine and cocaine.
Oh,
Some people
way.
might say,
No.
not necessarily.
Was it
Someone said
confirmed?
maybe.
Was it confirmed that Elon Musk was indeed tripping on ketamine in the White House? And there is video of this, and also pissing himself because we've got drug addicts in the White House who can't control their bowels.
I don't think he took a drug test after, so we wouldn't be able to confirm.
No, I can
but-
confirm it. Just put it behind me. Elon Musk clearly rolling at the White House. Put it behind me, please.
Allegedly.
Dan, we can't confirm it, but we can confirm it.
Hey, Dan, want to feel old? Mike Cameron's son is a brewer.
What?
Yeah, oh, yes. Like father, like son. The brew crew. Mike Cameron. David Sampson saying Bill Simmons is jealous of Pablo Torre for his Bill Belichick reporting. Ha! Close your eyes and picture this. There should be a superhero called Company Man. He carries a briefcase. Hey, David. Bill Simmons sold the Ringer for $250 million. In no world, and I mean none, would Bill Simmons ever be jealous of Pablo Torre. I'm just saying. I love Pablo, but there is no scenario where Bill is jealous of Pablo. That's not happening. I'm jealous of Bill.
I have a confession. When you said Mike Cameron's son, for whatever reason, I thought of Kirk Cameron.
Get
And I was
outta
like,
here.
wow, Kirk Cameron has a son who plays baseball.
All right.
But why would we
I
feel
don't-
old, though?
I don't know what you're doing there. But
Kirk Cameron having a
But he
son.
never played baseball.
All right.
I know, that's what makes it
All
weird.
right, you got it.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, stumbling.
It may not have involved allegedly, if this is what it was. While sometimes called pink cocaine, it may not involve actual cocaine. It
Doesn't
may be
have, rarely has
ketamine
cocaine,
and
actually.
MDMA, which some people refer to as Molly.
Confirmed.
If you did cocaine, though, and someone trotted out pink cocaine, would you snort it?
I mean, if you do
My
coke,
coke
yeah.
needs to be white.
If it's a bachelorette, yeah.
I'd feel like someone, probably put something in it,
You're right. It might be a gender reveal with a little
Possibly.
cocaine. Yeah.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Loser.
Pascal Siakam
Loser.
is what Heat fans think Bam Adebayo should be.
Woof. That hurts.
Pascal Siakam looks like he's 54 years old. He does. A young 54. Texas Tech softball snapping a 37-game losing streak to Oklahoma. You know what that means, of course, right, Dan?
I do not.
They were due.
Okay.
The Red Raiders. The Sooners. It turns out all Juan Soto needed was a healthy dose of the Colorado Rockies.
Again, the Rockies won last night against the Marlins to get their 10th win of the season. I believe they are now 10-50.
Scotty Scheffler. Chess. Rest of the world. Checkers. We're not talking enough about Scotty Scheffler, man.
If he were black.
Oh, boy. When both series end early, let's move up the games. There should have been hockey over the weekend.
It is a dry spell here that's weird after the last.
I don't like this sitting around.
For the fan bases, it's needed. I needed a few days.
Your tongue was heavy. First game of first round.
Yeah.
Your father's holding up pretty well.
It's because the heat had been out of it.
That is correct.
Yeah. Right. He was happy about that.
Yes. He roots for his schedule. Like, I text him before every game, and he's just, like, rooting for whatever gets him the easiest workload.
He roots for me maximum at all times.
Knicks fans, let's remember this moment. The next time we want to storm the streets outside of Madison Square Garden for winning in the second round. You know what they say, Dano? Act like you've been there before. I mean, we set ourselves up for this every single year. We celebrate so much over meaningless series victories that when we lose, everyone crushes us.
I haven't seen this hope for a Knicks team in 25 years.
But there's hope. That's a start.
But a Knicks team that obviously wasn't good enough to win the championship. It really was interesting to see the fan base get that loud. I don't know how you handle, in general, your disappointment, but I know people who mitigate and manage their disappointment by lowering their expectations to start.
Yes.
That is not what Knicks fans did. They behaved in a way throwing trash at Brian Windhorst and being louder than everyone else that made it awfully forgetful where hope resides.
Loser.
On one hand, I'm sad the Knicks lost. On the other hand, I'm happy I never have to hear from Reggie Miller again.
Is his career over?
I believe so.
You don't think he's going to be hired? You don't think Reggie Miller's going to have commentary the rest of your life on the
If I don't hear Reggie Miller on TNT, I'm not hearing Reggie Miller.
Okay, so if he appears on the Dan Patrick Show, he's not someone you're hearing?
No.
He's joining NBC.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As lead game analyst.
It's not Reggie on TNT. It's not Reggie. It's a weird take, but you know, I'm just done with Reggie.
Loser.
I mean, New York made Reggie.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
We run you.
Sound like you're both like insulting him and praising him at the same time.
I don't know what to do with Reg.
We run you.
There is no greater compliment that you can give Reggie Miller that he annoys you so much that you demand he be out of your life.
He's winning.
And then he stays in your life.
You're so right about that.
He is one of the guys. Man, we really do have to celebrate more the people in sports who are actually willing to be the villain. There are so few. They're so precious few that I'm willing to make Reggie Miller historically better than he actually was just because he was willing to do that for me.
Loser.
NBA on TNT. Tip of the cap. I'm going to miss that.
It's not.
Yeah, but it's not. Listen, if it's not on TNT, it's not on TNT.
You mentioned that.
That's true.
Reggie, yes. This is also true, yes.
It just feels different. That's
they're
tip of the cap. They did a great job. They did. They covered the NBA at an amazing level for many years. Just tipping the cap. Here, let's tip a cap.
We should.
Let's all do it.
We should.
Everyone look at the camera right now.
It's rare. Look,
Camera,
man,
take all of us.
It is rare to get consensus in sports. That's great.
You don't take the hat off on a tip of the cap. You just touch the tip of your cap.
Do you?
It's a little just like
thought you tip it like that.
Head tilt down.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you take off your cap when you give someone a tip of the cap?
Just touch the tip of the cap, head tilt down.
I did
Well, that's
more.
hats off, though.
I gave hats off. I did hats
off. I did hats off, too.
I
Hats
did
off,
tip of the hat. I go hats off with tip of the hat. I don't just
Like
tip
this.
it.
Yeah.
Hats off. Hats off to you.
You don't take it all the way off. You take it like a quarter of the way off.
That looked
it's like
all
you
the way
stop
off.
right here.
That's all the way off.
I know there are subjective things throughout art that get universal applause, but there is very little in sports that is subjective that everyone says, that's great, that's the greatest thing there's been. So little criticism. The only criticism I ever hear of the TNT show is basketball players now don't like that Charles and Kenny and Shaq, old guys, have so much voice. They want new voice.
That's because they don't have any rings. If they had more rings, they wouldn't mind.
New York, the only market that could want their coach fired after he took them somewhere they hadn't been in 25 years. It's amazing. Obi Toppin, Revenge Series. Here's something to ponder. If an NBA Finals happens and nobody watches, nobody cares, or nobody talks about it, did it actually happen?
People will watch, people will care, people will talk about it.
So much ratings talk coming the next couple of weeks.
We control that. We could just not do
here. It won't be here.
Talk some hoops.
I'm talking about it. We can't control it outside of here.
Right.
We can't even control it inside of here with Stugotz.
Pacers Thunder, the rare series where both teams can point at trading Paul George away as the moment they instantly got better.
Wait till Basketball Illuminati tomorrow. Woo! Wow. Some revelations, some behind-the-scenes stuff.
A big congratulations to Josh Allen and Hanley Stenfield.
Hanley?
Hanley.
Haley? I don't know what her
right.
name is.
Hold on.
Steinfield.
You made her a Marlins shortstop.
I did. Regardless, Josh finally got a ring.
Hanley Steinfeld.
I think it's Kenley Jensen.
Seinfeld?
Seinfeld. What's the deal with the Bills losing all the time?
Mike Trout, do it in the postseason.
What's the deal with Josh Allen's wife having a man's name?
Mike Trout, make it to the postseason. Mariners, Cole Young with a walk-off in his MLB debut. How can you not be romantic about baseball? It's all baseball has left is romance.
I still love baseball.
Do you?
Yes.
You're the one.
So does Kirk Cameron.
All right.
Justin Fields.
Hold on a second, please. Hold on a second. Just
That was the second time.
forgive me,
around.
sir.
He brought it back.
That's a good callback.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, stumbling.
Justin Fields said he believes he can be great with the New York Jets. Hey, Justin, got some news for you. You can't.
Doesn't seem like news. It just seems like a statement of fact. It doesn't seem like something.
I'm just
that
letting
you're-
him know.
Yeah, but it's not breaking news. It's just
But
something.
he has set the bar so high for himself, and I want him to set it lower because he's not going to be great there. He wasn't great in Pittsburgh. He wasn't great in Chicago. He's not going to be great as a Jet. No one's great as a Jet. Except Revis.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is it possible, humanly possible, to be great as the quarterback of the New York Jets?
Name one. And don't say Namath. I'll wait all day. Andrew McCutcheon, still doing it. Kutch. With all this additional time on my hands, I've been listening to a lot of content. Top 5 things you should subscribe to. Substack. Stugotz790.substack.com. God Bless Football. YouTube. YouTube.com at Stugotz790. Number 2, Stupidity. And number 1, The Hockey Show. That is a quality show. I'm telling you. Roy, Dworky. It's a good show, man.
Who else is on that with them?
No idea.
Rose.
Oh, and Rosie, of course.
And Ethan.
And Butsky.
I don't think that there's a Dworkski. I don't think.
Dorky.
I think it's Dworky.
I call him
Does any-
Dworky.
I don't think anyone calls him Dworky.
I like Dworky.
They do hockey nicknames there.
Yeah,
They're a hockey
all the
show.
time on the show.
Yeah.
Dorky.
Here come the Jays.
We sell a shirt that says Dworky on it.
Do we? Okay.
There's a shirt selling contest going on amongst the hockey show right now.
How's it selling?
I don't have the numbers, but whoever sells the most shirt amongst Rosie, Budsky, Dworky, and Belly win a big prize.
Belly's winning right now.
It's a good show. Subscribe, rate, review.
They're going to be doing a live watch-along, as is Tony with UFC. There are going to be a couple of pop-ups here in the next week.
This weekend, UFC 316, June 7th on Saturday. The boys will be out there, 10 p.m. New sponsor, by the way, at the Dead Flamingo. Shout out for sponsoring the MMA Hang-Up, baby. Let's go.
Bryce Harper missing an entire series after getting hit by a pitch on the elbow. You know what Bryce isn't, Dan? A hockey player. An entire series? Jesus.
I laughed the other day because Bryce Harper went up to bat, and it was really nice with a gender reveal blue bat.
I saw that, yeah.
But then he struck out, which you can't do. You gotta make contact if your bat is the gender reveal. You can't strike out.
Not to bring it back, but the Cole Young walk-off on his debut is one of the saddest walk-offs I've ever seen.
I thought it was romantic.
It was for me.
I mean, it was a little dribbler that was extra innings, so there was a runner running home and beats the throw home, but he dribbled it about 38 feet before the first baseman fielded it, threw it home. The run got in before the tag, then he runs, he gets to first base. It's a hit, walk-off, but man, it was a routine out. But it was, romantic.
A walk-off's a walk-off.
Walk-off's a walk-off.
The way Stugotz painted it, I thought it was a home run.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly Jeremy Hermida coming in and hitting a grand slam.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting reference by
Hermida never did that. He was supposed to do that.
Hermida doesn't remember that, and you do.
It's the only moment of his career. I think he remembers it. So I'm saying his life peaked at that moment. Not me. I wouldn't say that. He
was supposed to have so many moments, though.
He was supposed to have so many moments, but alas, not.
Double the David Sampson. Still wouldn't be 5 feet tall or weigh over 100 pounds.
What?
What do you mean? I love David.
It really doesn't sound like it.
I just said double the David. It was funny. 5 feet tall. He's small. You get it?
Good clean humor.
I love David as much as he loves me. And as much as he loves Pablo. At any point, do you think Kylie Jenner looked around, realized she was in Indiana, and said, "Why the hell am I here?" Speaking of hell, or Browse. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Excellent. We love those always. We love those weekly. We were mentioning Amin's love of the breakfast flan, and it made me think of the breakfast flan song. So let's go ahead and play that for the people.
I wish I had some breakfast flan. Breakfast flan. Where can I find a breakfast like that?
Yeah, I regret doing that.
Classic.
It's awesome. I want some flan right now.
Did you have good memories of it? Or like, what?
I did. I thought it had musical accompaniment. I didn't realize it was a cappella. I didn't realize it was a duet.
Wait, there was music there if you hear it.
I wish I had some breakfast flan.
There's nothing I recognize as music in there. Nope.
Where can I find a breakfast like that?
Not anymore. Not after Pastelito incident. Sing all your cappella moving forward.
Can I ask whether or not anyone is siding with Pablo Torre in the beef with Bill Simmons? Because a lot of people are objecting to Pablo Torre's journalism rooting around in the bedroom of Bill Belichick, but it's also being wildly rewarded because Pablo's numbers are skyrocketing.
Crazy.
Because he's doing this reporting around this story that people are really hungry for. But there are also people objecting to it while there's widespread curiosity about it, and it's not being covered in the mainstream in a way that is satisfying to people, so people are going and hunting down Pablo.
Dan, I know you mentioned earlier that he's going to go on with Bill Simmons. Did you see his tweet response, which was scathing, and dare I say it, little Stephen A. Smith-esque? Allow me to read it in a Stephen A. Smith voice. Wow. Dear Bill Simmons, since you have such a strong public opinion about my work, I happen to have a few questions for you, specifically. Unless you're afraid of Pablo Torre finds out and someone just pretending to be a journalist, of course. Thanks, Pablo.
Do you think he meant that thanks?
I have a few questions for you.
That's a great question.
It is a great signature catchline for a threatening movie villain dork. I have a few. Somebody who shows up with a briefcase, opens it up, and says, I have a few questions for you.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Now that I think about it, I think I have to concede that it stinks as a superhero catchphrase. I happen to have a few questions for you. But it works for a TV detective. Pablo Torre wandering the earth, I happen to have a few questions for you, is something I think now in sports journalism people don't want to hear.
Right.
If Pablo Torre is sniffing around trying to find out.
If you're a superhero, you have the answers. You always have the answer. You don't have questions. You just have the answer.
Well, I think the implication here is that he has the answers. So he's just asking him the questions. He's not asking questions to things he doesn't know. He's asking questions to things he does know.
The best kind of questions. By the way, you're also missing the word at the end, specifically.
Specifically.
I didn't
You
like that.
specifically.
Yeah, specifically.
What do you think he wants to ask Bill about?
We will find out together. I happen to have a few questions for you, though. Does sound like the world's lamest threat, does it not? I happen to have a few questions.
You get
for
to the
you.
villain, yeah.
And Tony is right that there is an undercurrent on it of I have the answers already, but my happening to have a few questions for you is only because I know the answers. When Tony says those are the best kind of questions, I'd argue the best kind of questions are the ones you don't have the answers to, so you could therefore learn. Tony is saying everyone wants to be New York Knicks fans. I already have the answers. I don't need any of your answers. I've got my alternative facts.
Dan, in a court of law, you never ask questions you don't know the answer to. You only ask the questions you know the answer to. Absolutely.
Yeah, like when you watch Law and Order and Sam Waterston's character, the DA, he asks a question, and then the person gives the answer. He always looks surprised, like, well, wait, but surely when you went into the house, you knew no one was going to be there. Well, actually, I knew someone. Oh, well, in that case, like, that's how you do it. And by the way, you got to understand the context of this, right? Bill calls Pablo a fake journalist, right? He basically questioned his bona fides as a journalist. Yeah. So what Pablo's saying is like, oh, you think my bullets don't hurt you? Okay, his bullets are questions, by the way. I don't know if you know that. So he's like, you think they don't know? What if I point the gun at you, Mr. Simmons? That's what he did right there.
Put it on the poll,
And questions
please.
come out of that gun?
At Le Batard Show, who's more of a journalist, Bill Simmons or Pablo Torre?
But Pablo's degree's in sociology, so he's not a journalist.
Well, I don't think journalism goes by what you went to school for.
Wouldn't you need a degree to be a journalist?
Not anymore.
Stugotz proved that.
I'm not a journalist.
Oh.
I think working for Sports Illustrated is something that would classify you as a journalist if you're writing for Sports Illustrated.
I want to make it clear. I'm Team Pablo. But when I discovered like a couple of weeks ago that like he's only written 5 pieces or whatever in his life, that I've always thought Pablo was this prolific writer. And it turns out he wrote 5 pieces in his entire. I've written more than that in a month.
They're not, though, they're not small pieces. They're 5 takeouts. They're big articles that are about, like, the process in Philadelphia. They're magazine pieces that unspool 5,000 and 10,000 words.
I've written 10,000 words. What, do you think that's impressive? Or so? Oh, you wrote 10,000 words. Wait, why am I switching sides now? Oh.
Weird.
I think
Some would say that's like a English assignment for sophomores, but that's fine.
I mean, my kid is in high school and doing that.
So you guys think that Bill Simmons is more of a journalist than Pablo?
He's
we're on
written more.
Pablo's
He's written
side.
more than
Written
Pablo.
more.
He's written.
Yes.
He's written books before, Dan.
Try writing a column every week.
I mean, I wrote a book, so.
Well, I wrote your book.
I think it had 10,000 words.
We wrote your book. You didn't
Well,
write
Stanzik
your book.
did.
You haven't even read your book. You didn't write your
Getting
book.
to it.
We have a number of things that I want to get to, but I did want to ask you a question, Stugotz, because the other day I heard a sound and I was confused by it because the sound made me think of something that I had not thought of in a long time. And somebody nearby said, because I just heard music, and I thought it was coming from a place that was playing music, and somebody said that's an ice cream truck. And I'm like, there can't still be ice cream trucks. Are there still, with the amount of convenience that we have everywhere, I would assume the ice cream truck business is hurting, even though driving through your neighborhood still makes it more convenient on something that can melt than DoorDash or anything else you were ordering. But would you not assume that the ice cream truck business is a harder way to make a living now than it's ever been?
No, I would think it's thriving. In fact, I think ice cream trucks had their best year ever last year. I'll check it out at icecreamtrucks.com. But I'm pretty certain, Dan, they had their best sales year of all time last year. I think they're picking up steam. I mean,
Dan, we watched a report back here from Inside Edition about the state of the ice cream truck in America, and business is not good. Inflation's hitting them hard. The rising prices of fuel, the rising prices of ice cream, the rising prices of sugar, all of these staples that are required. And then you factor in that, kids don't go outside anymore, right? They're on their devices. They're playing video games. They don't come outside. We used to play outside. That was the whole point of the ice cream truck. You're playing outside, and then you hear that sound. Oh, ice cream! Ice cream! The ice cream man is coming!
I think that's over. I don't think that's happening in neighborhoods anymore.
Well, there's also a territory war amongst ice cream trucks.
There is, yeah. They take it very seriously.
You can't just drive around with an ice cream truck willy-nilly. You have to kind of get in and talk to the right people and let the heads of the ice cream underworld know that you're now in the ice cream business. And should they accept you, then okay. But should they not, don't let them catch you on those streets.
Very territorial.
Yeah.
Very territorial.
Yep. Dan, in 2023, the global ice cream truck market was valued at $2.27 billion. It goes up about 3% every year. It should be valued at over $300 million by the year 2030. Ice cream trucks doing just fine, man.
All right, well, you just gave us a bunch of different numbers and then made it $300 million, which was a lot less. You weren't listening to any of the numbers you were saying.
By 230. By the year 2030, it will be valued at $300 million.
But you just said it was more
But it was
than that.
2-something billion a couple years ago.
No, I said it was $2.27 billion 2 years ago. It grows at a rate of 3.17%.
And then it'll grow to $300 million.
By 2030. Know your ice cream trucks,
Yeah.
man.
He's
Still
right,
doesn't
yeah.
understand what he's doing with the math.
It's growing in a negative rate.
What was your guys' go-to? I went screwball. The little
Two-ball screwball or just one screwball?
The one. The little like rock-hard bubble gum at the bottom of it.
Strawberry shortcake.
Oh, yeah.
Choco Taco is good.
Toasted almond.
Classic ice cream sandwich.
Flintstone Push Pop.
Put it on the poll
Orange.
at Le Batard Show. Which is the best of the ice cream truck flavors? Let's list this. Strawberry shortcake, the push-up, the
Screwball.
Choco Taco.
The toasted almond. The chocolate eclair.
If you go snow cone, you're a monster.
That would be terrible to choose the snow cone. Can I please get some kind of remedial understanding of the math Stugotz just did, where
It's
something
going well.
Something increased by 2030 from the number 2 billion to 300 million. How is that an increase?
The last ice cream music song that Chris was playing was the Camptown Ladies.
This sounds like a video game more than a like this. I would not buy anything from this ice cream truck. This is the cheap ice cream truck guy who's down on his luck.
Oh, you got that classy ice cream truck music? I mean, geez.
Definitely not the one that's playing the Camptown Ladies. Sing that song, doo-dah, doo-dah. I'm not getting ice cream in that one.
If you're not playing this song, I'm not getting ice cream. I mean,
This is the song.
the
guys.
standard
This is the
song.
song.
Yeah.
You mentioned video games and kids being inside. Tony, I don't know that anyone around here has made a worse appraisal about what their life is going to be than you before having a baby announcing to everyone here that you couldn't wait to get so much time to now play video games.
Yeah.
Now that you have a baby that will be in the house, you
Yeah.
thought you were going to really play a lot of video games. And then I heard people making fun of you here saying Tony hasn't been logged on anywhere in a month. That no one
A
no
month
one-
is
that-
generous.
That Tony has disappeared from the virtual reality world that is video games because fatherhood has swept him up into adulthood and he's no longer allowed to be a selfish child.
So I would play a lot of video games, right? My wife was working. She's now home 24/7. And when your wife's home 24/7, you don't really have enough time to go out and play video games because she's always watching what you're doing to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and helping the baby, doing the dishes, all that stuff. So I would play video games. And then I told the boys here, don't worry, when the baby's little, she's going to be sleeping. And guess what dad gets to do while the baby's sleeping? Play a little video games.
And we laughed at you.
What I didn't realize
Baby
is
doesn't
that
sleep.
I have to watch said baby while she sleeps as a nervous father for the first month and make sure that everything is good. Even though we have the little outlets telling her temperature, it's telling this and that, I need to have eyes on just to make sure that everything's good. So playtime decreased. I played once on a Saturday morning when she slept in a little bit. But, yeah, I haven't logged in about 2 months. But there's still people asking, hey, are you playing? Your LSU Tigers are doing well? Like, what's the deal? And I didn't respond. It's been a tough 5 months, Dan. I don't know if you could tell.
I just
I'm
don't
starting
know.
to get grays in my beak.
What did you think fatherhood was going to be?
Easy.
Like what?
I rarely hear the dad right before he's like, I'm gonna have a lot of free time coming up.
Again, I thought I was going to be able to manage said free time around baby sleeping.
Yeah.
That did not happen. But as a man of understanding, hey, I can understand when I'm wrong and when I should have listened to Billy and others that had kids and said, you're not going to have that kind of time. I should have listened. I didn't. But you know what? It's a learning process, Dan. That's all it is.
Congratulations on learning that your time is no longer your own.
By the way, funny enough, it wasn't my own because I was, she wakes up around 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. She gets fed. She had a mistake on the bed today. So at 4:45, the baby. So came out of the diaper. So guess who had to clean everything? Dad had to take all the sheets off the covers. I had to spray the stuff.
Who put on the diaper? You or your wife?
Before she went to bed, I think it was her. So
that's put that in the back pocket.
That's good.
I'm always team do the diaper over like cleaning up messes. Like,
well,
I'll
I had to clean
up
up
the
the mess because she was breastfeeding. So I was like, oh, you breastfeed, I'll clean up the mess. So I had to get on my hands and knees, Dan, and scrape the stuff off the sheets with this little spray and make sure that.
Yeah.
There's a mess on the bed.
The mess was on the bed on the sheets.
You don't have like a protector?
Well, the sheet
on
is
the
still,
sheet.
The
How do I
sheet,
put
the protector's
you
underneath.
take the sheet off and you put the sheet to wash.
Yeah, I know, but I had to spray it with like
You're
a
sleeping
special
on a
cleaner.
caca sheet now? Ooh, no.
The first 18 months, they're not children; they're screaming monsters.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much.
You know, you're not alone though, Tony. I heard Shohei recently had a newborn, and the other day he was caught falling asleep during a game. Can you relate to this, Tony?
Oh wow! Hold on.
He's like asleep, and then you can see he does the thing of like, whoa, gotta wake up.
Is that fatherhood or baseball?
It was a blowout. They were losing. They were beating the Yankees 10-1, and clearly looking like he's sleeping. And then,
you got to get it where you can, right? Those little 2 seconds of like, I'm gonna close.
They
my
mean
eyes,
everything.
but it feels like 30 minutes. It's called the cat nap.
what's
Dan.
he doing with his nose on the other of the dugout? He's like touching. He
sure.
knows. He thinks right there, no one's watching him.
I swear to God, that's my dad on the couch. And then like dad, like, and it's like, and we're like, just go to bed. Like, no, I'm watching this. He does the same move, the hard blink and look around, and like, and then swearing he's still awake.
God, maybe I'm getting old.
I do the
Last
same thing.
night, my wife is just like, "You're snoring," and I'm like, "I'm not even I don't know that I'm asleep." And I'm on the couch, like, because once you hit the
that
recline,
happens to me every
once
night.
you hit the
Every night.
recline around 10 p.m.,
Yeah.
I don't realize it. And she's like, I'm like,
I'm
what did
not
it sound
even
like?
asleep.
I'm like, what did it sound like? She's like, I'm like, no, I was not just making that
I would have
noise.
heard it. I mean,
That is also me. I will tell you that what I do more, I think, than any other action in the world is deny that I was sleeping while emerging from snoring.
it's great.
When I'm on the couch and we're watching something, and then it's it's bad when you're like, and the
get
snore
yourself.
wakes you up. You're like, what was that?
I am so tired that I am waking myself up with my own snore, startling myself, and then
Swearing you're not snoring.
and then immediately lapsing
Denial.
into lying.
Who was that?
I wish my dad like woke up from snoring. That dude just snores like it's so loud. How is he not awake? Forget about the sound. The feeling in the back of his throat was like, it's like a chainsaw.
I wanted to ask the group here if you had the same reaction that I did, which I thought was funny to have this reaction, where I see the report, Giannis having a mutual interest with the Toronto Raptors, and I'm like, that's not real. Mm-hmm. That's not, the Raptors are not a possibility for any free agent under any circumstances who has every option. The choice is not going to be to leave America. However, at the moment, the choice might be Canada, given what's happening in America. Because I heard an awful lot of threats that people were going to move to Canada if there was a new presidency. I have not seen yet a lot of moving to Canada, though I have seen a lot of moving to Britain. I can't get my head around the Toronto Raptors are going to get the coveted free agent. I don't believe that story.
Well, you believe this part of it, that Toronto has interest. It's Giannis's interest
that
that
is
you
correct.
have a hard time
I
believing.
do not deny or am in no way skeptical that Toronto thinks there's a chance.
Why are you treating Toronto like it's Edmonton? Toronto's like the biggest city in Canada.
Why would he go there, though?
The reason I'm doing that is because no free agent who has a lot of options ever chooses Toronto.
First of all, he's not a free agent. I hate to be Mr. Will Actually. It would be a trade. Number one. Number two, and we talk about this on today's episode of Oddball, there is a connection between Giannis and Masai Ujiri, the president of the Raptors. There's actually a video from the 2013 draft of Masai Ujiri in the war room trying to trade up to get to a pick where he can get Giannis. And finally, I think he gets up to like maybe 18 or whatever, but Giannis goes at 15 to the Bucks. So there's that connection. He's known him and wanted him for a long time. Obviously, Masai Ujiri is of Nigerian descent. Giannis is of Nigerian descent. There's that connection there. But then there's the other thing, which is he assisted in Giannis getting his visa to come to the United States originally. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of background, like we know each other thing. And if you're Giannis, your big thing is I want to go somewhere where I know they know what they're doing. Well, Masai Ujiri is a guy who's got a great reputation in the league as a front office
They were
guy.
30 and 52 last year.
Exactly, because they need Giannis.
Oh.
I want to, for a second, though, explore the correction that Amin made that is the correct correction. When he says Giannis isn't a free agent, he is someone who would be requesting a trade. The reason I make them the same thing is just because I think of free agency as options, and I think of Giannis as just options. He can choose anything he wants. Why would Toronto be the choice? He's not going to be traded someplace he doesn't want, and people with options, go ahead and give them to me. Kawhi got traded there on a rental. Give me all of the free agents or coveted option people who have ended up choosing Toronto.
I think that you're making my argument, which is it's mutual interest. Giannis would want that as an option. It's not, guess what, Giannis? You don't want to be here? Take your ass to Canada. That's not what's happening here. It's Giannis being like, you know what? I have a connection with the guy that runs the team. I think I kind of want to go there.
Would you be kind enough to answer my question, though? The greatest free agent the Toronto Raptors or comparable person with options that the Raptors have ever gotten when they get into the bidding against American teams is?
Kawhi Leonard.
No, but
trade.
That was a 1-year rental. It was.
So this is a 2-year rental.
Okay.
I don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry. It's like he's under contract. He's not under contract for 5 years. He's got options. He can go wherever he wants. He wants to get traded, and this is a place that is a trade destination. You're right, and free agents don't go to Canada historically, but players have been traded there, and that happens.
The biggest free agent contract they've ever given out, 2009, Hedo Turkoglu, 5-year, $53 million.
Hedo.
I mean, he was coming.
It was a sign and trade, but he signed.
He was coming off an NBA Finals appearance. Remember, he hit the game winner against the Cavs.
Ron Magill is going to join us right now. I will tell you one of the most shocking takes that we've ever had around here that flew under the radar. As soon as the Orlando Magic got Hedo Turkoglu, Stugotz proclaimed that the best starting lineup in the history of basketball.
It was some starting five, man. I mean, go look it up.
He wasn't lying.
Jameer Nelson at the one.
I know.
Was it Rashard Lewis on that team?
Rashard
Oh, that
Lewis.
was a good team.
Dwight Howard.
Yep.
Hedo
was like a point
Yeah,
forward.
he was excellent at
Who was
three,
the
I think.
fifth?
Courtney Lee?
No, there was someone else.
It wasn't Courtney Lee as a two-guard?
No, because I would never say that's the best
I
starting
feel like it
five
was
in
Courtney
basketball.
Lee.
I
No.
think you guys need to listen to what was just said. With
Those
those
four are
names.
strong.
It's not the best starting lineup in the history of
10?
the sport.
At the time, it had a chance,
It
in my
did
defense.
not have a chance. It's not. It echoes eternally because it's such a bad take.
It was J.J. Redick.
Yeah.
You want to list that again as the best starting five ever? Go ahead and list the whole. Jameer
Jameer at the one. Jameer, great leader, by the way.
Yep.
Great leader.
Yep.
JJ at the 2, one of the best shooters in the game, right? 3 is Hedo Turkoglu, point forward, controlling the game. 4 was Rashard Lewis, stretch fours before that was a thing. Dwight Howard, dominant center at the 5.
Thank you. Apologize.
It's a good-ass team, guys. You're right.
It's not the best starting lineup ever.
Tomato.
Chris Cody has nominated the tomato as the most versatile of all the foods.
Yeah. Tomato, try to beat me. It can be a drink. It could be a soup. It could be on a sandwich. It can be a condiment if you make ketchup with it. I mean, the tomato's doing a lot.
Ron Magill joins us now. Ron, do you have a more versatile food? And we haven't seen you in a while. You've been traveling, yes? Do you have a more versatile food than the tomato, sir?
No, I'm with Chris on that. Tomato. I'm a ketchup guy. I have ketchup with everything. I have tomatoes and everything. I think tomatoes it's a pretty versatile food, followed probably by the grape.
Potatoes are pretty versatile.
Yeah,
It
potatoes
is.
pretty versatile. It's true.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. More versatile food, the tomato or the potato?
I can't make a morning cocktail out of a
It's
potato.
a little
though.
hard, yes, to make an excellent drink out of the potato.
Or actually, there's a potato soup.
Potatoes made of vodka.
Oh, that's true.
Damn it. Checkmate.
I think
Well
vodka's
done,
made of potato.
Yeah, I was going to say
don't think-
potatoes
Right.
are made
Yes.
of
think
Yeah.
we got
That kind of thing.
Well, we got it, Tony.
I was up at 4:45 clean. Dan, what are you going to
Spoken
do?
like
Wife
a
pooped
true
the bed.
alcoholic. The potato is made of vodka. Put that on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is the potato made out of vodka? Ron, where have you been traveling? One of the places was the Galapagos, right?
That's true. No, I just got back from the Galapagos, and in 2 weeks I leave for Australia for a few weeks. So that's going to be a pretty good trip. It's doing a documentary out there with Channel 10. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I want to play for you here some owls showing affection to each other. I'd like for you to give us some play-by-play here and tell us which of the animals is most affectionate.
Oh.
They seem to be kissing
Yeah.
here.
It's like an aggressive makeout session, I'd say.
Well, they're more grooming each other. They are definitely bonding, but it's not like you would think a makeout session. And that's not really what it is. But it is bonding and grooming. And owls are monogamous birds. They kind of mate with one mate for the breeding season. So they're pretty admirable birds, but they're not the most intelligent of the birds. I think we've discussed that before. They're probably one of the least intelligent of the birds because of the massive size of their eyes. It takes up so much space in their skull. There's not a whole lot of room left for the brain.
Owl's got it figured out, huh? Every mating season, different mate.
Well, not necessarily. They might come back with the same mate. There are some
Yeah.
owls that are monogamous, throughout their lives, but definitely during the breeding season. They're not promiscuous, so to speak.
Why would you say different mate if he just said monogamous?
I thought I heard him say like a minute earlier that every mating season they
Tomato.
rotate the mates.
Get a new breeding season.
They
New mate?
may get a new mate during a breeding season, but generally speaking, a lot of these birds of prey tend to be monogamous throughout their lives.
So it's a choice. It's kind of like humans.
Is there a reason for that, Ron?
What they concluded is that it's beneficial for them. They get to understand each other's habits. They are being proven successful breeders, and that loyalty to each other helps for more successful reproduction.
Ron, we were going to have you on after the Kentucky Derby, and we had lots of horse questions. One of the first ones was, how prevalent is incest in the horse racing community? Ooh. Because you hear like, oh, this person is, or this horse, I guess, is, along the lineage of Secretariat. And then this past year in the Kentucky Derby, I believe everyone participating was, from the Secretariat lineage.
Even the jockeys.
If you have so many people who are connected to Secretariat, how prevalent, I guess, is incest incestual behaviors in the horse racing community? And are there defects to horse incest?
Wow.
Okay, first of all, I think you're using the word incest really incorrectly. It's inbreeding.
Inbreeding.
Right? They're not having these horses actually breed each other. But the inbreeding is they're using sperm from relatives of Secretariat. But my understanding is that it's really well down the line, way out on the tree there, way out on the branch. It's not like brother, sister, mother, son, or that kind of a close relationship. It's like, 14th and 15th cousins. But they're trying to get the highlight of that bloodline that made Secretariat so great, increase the value of that.
That's a scam, right? Like, that's a scam. The 16th cousin of Secretariat, what they have in their blood doesn't make them any better than, another horse.
I'm not a horse breeder, so to speak, but it tends to add credibility when they're selling the sperm for, hundreds of thousands of dollars. When they can give that sperm credibility because of what it's distantly related to, brings more money. At the end of the day, guys, it's all about money.
How do they confirm that this is? Oh yeah, I'm 16 cousins with the Secretary. Believe me.
Oh well, they are very, very careful about documenting bloodlines of horses, all the way down the pedigrees. It's even with dogs. You'll find dogs. Oh, this dog is a fourth cousin of the grand champion of this particular breed. So there's a lot to assign to that credibility and value in being associated with a champion.
Are there defects, though, in inbreeding in the animal community?
Yes, absolutely there are. I mean, you remember a long time ago, white tigers were a big thing in zoos. Oh, everybody wanted to see a white tiger. Well, they realized they were breeding brothers to sisters, mothers to sons, just to get white tigers because it brought people in. It was a lot of money. And finally, they realized, listen, we can't do that. We're getting tigers with crossed eyes. We're getting them with all kinds of, different types of defects going on. And that's why you don't see white tigers in zoos anymore.
Can you tell us what the most affectionate animal is?
Most affectionate animal.
Because you're saying those owls, that was not necessarily affection. That wasn't necessarily mating. That wasn't.
It's bonding. It's bonding. It's solidifying the bond between the two of them. And I guess you could associate that as courtship in a way. But the affection is, I don't know.
Has to be a dog, hard. Right?
Listen, a dog is incredibly affectionate. Cats can be affectionate too, though they tend to be a little bit more independent. But dogs, my gosh.
I meant with each other, though.
I think dogs can be very expressive, emotional with each other. When they greet each other as a social animal, as a pack animal, you see them, licking and jumping on each other and vocalizing and tails wagging. That's all kind of a form of affection between the dogs as they kind of, cement their bond with each other again. It's all about that, creating that bond, that relationship, because animals like that realize that they're stronger in groups than they are individually.
It seems like dolphins are affectionate towards each other, right?
Dolphins are one of those animals that, has been proven that they have sex strictly for fun. I mean, they have, same-sex activity all the time, which of course is not going to result in reproduction, but it demonstrates the fact that they enjoy the pleasure of each other's company in a variety of ways. So yes, they can be very quote unquote affectionate.
They've been known to cross the line from time to time as well.
They're line steppers.
Dolphins.
Mitchell.
Oh yeah, dolphins. I mean, there's documentation on YouTube, for instance, of a dolphin trying to get a woman in a bikini sitting on a dock, and this dolphin got very amorous with her to the point it was dangerous. I remember there was a trainer working with a dolphin that I knew that was able to collect the sperm from the dolphin just by going out in her bathing suit. The dolphin would come and immediately present himself and ejaculate so she could collect it, and they'd use that sperm for artificial insemination. I mean, she just had to be there in her bathing suit. I know. I know this is kind of crossing the line, but I'm just telling you facts. I'm not telling you made up stories.
I just love the idea of the dolphin going back to his buddies, like, watch this. every time I come out, she can't get enough of this right here.
Boys, she's back.
Ron, would it be more humane instead of putting down a horse when they break their leg to give it a big wheel?
No, it's not feasible because of the behavior of a horse and because of the anatomy, the structure of a horse. Sustaining the weight, you couldn't put it out without putting so much stress on other muscles. It's a domino effect that the horse would just catastrophically collapse.
Well, what if it had two missing legs, so it had two wheels, so it was more on like a chariot? Like you see sometimes with little doggies, how the doggies are on, like they have wheelchairs. If you had two wheels for a
dogs
horse.
and horses are tremendously different animals.
No, the wheels would be tremendously different too. They'd be round, but they'd be different size, different strength. Titanium, maybe.
It's the weight. It's the behavior.
They'd be stronger wheels. I'm not telling you we're going to put in a dog wheelchair. That's silly. That would break the dog wheelchair. This is going to be a wheelchair built for a horse.
This is an intelligence issue, though, right? Like the dog is smart enough to kind of realize that a horse isn't.
That probably has something to do with it, but at the end of the day, it's just the size and the anatomy of a horse. And
That's
how
big wheels, Ron.
What about prosthetics, like what we give to veterans when they lose?
Yeah, thank you for your service.
They're not able to. They're not able to be trained to use the prosthetic in a way without sacrificing other parts of the limb. And just
has it been tried?
So we can't give them like an Oscar Pistorius, like blade?
Ooh, yeah, blade running horses would be sick, Ron.
I'll suggest it.
To who?
Who are you going to suggest it to? You were recently.
Whatever horse person has a horse that breaks a leg, or whatever equine veterinarian I come across.
I think there was some insincerity. I sense some insincerity. You're not going to suggest that to anyone. Ron was recently recognized by the Miami-Dade County Commission Chambers for 45 years of continuous service at Crandon Park Zoo, Miami Metro Zoo, and Zoo Miami. I believe that in those 45 years, you have never met anyone that you will share this suggestion with. No one living, no one dead. You will not do it to a tombstone. You will never make that suggestion to anybody. You just wanted Billy to stop talking.
Good point.
Okay, thank you. It is bird breeding season. Do you have any tips for us if you find a baby bird on the ground? My wife was late to our first date because she found a baby bird on the ground, and she ended up taking it in to a bird
Classic
rescue place.
dog ate my homework situation.
Yeah, listen, baby birds. If you find a baby bird that's fallen out of a nest, you see the nest, you can pick that baby bird up and put it back in the nest. That whole thing of, if you touch the bird, the mother's going to reject it and everything, that's a myth. That's an absolute myth. Now, you have to be able to decipher whether it's a bird that has fallen out of a nest or it's a bird that is fledged. Baby birds, once they get some feathering and they start exercising their wings, they'll fledge and they'll move. They do what we call branching. They go out on the branches. Sometimes they'll end up on the ground, but the parents are still taking care of them. Do not take that bird away. Do not take that bird to a rehabber unless it's obviously injured, because the parents are still taking care of it. Again, if it's a bird that's fallen out and it's obviously hasn't developed any feathering or anything like that, it's fallen out prematurely, you can pick that bird up and put it back in the nest. The parents will come and care for it. Please understand that. Also, during this bird breeding season, I get calls almost every day now of people saying, this bird's dive bombing me. It's attacking me. I can't get into my house. Listen, if they built a bird nest next to the entry door to your house, that's unfortunate, because they think every time you go into your house, you're going to be threatening their nest, and they will dive bomb you. Mockingbirds are notorious for this. They will come down. Well, they'll draw blood. They'll peck you, and they'll draw blood from your head. So please keep in mind that this is breeding season. Birds can get aggressive as they're protecting the nesting area. It's not that they're being nasty or just mean. They're being protective of their nest. So you might not see where the nest is, but I guarantee you, if they're dive bombing you when you go into your house, the nest is very close
I'm
by.
just going to sit there and let that thing peck my head.
Yeah, I'm bringing a tennis racket
Let me
like
tell you something,
Tiafoe.
I'm going to grab that thing and then just chuck it up against the wall.
Chris, this is just like your analogy of doing a giraffe with a steak knife. Okay? That bird will hit you in the head before you even know it's coming.
I'll pick that bird up.
Wow.
That's unnecessary.
Wait, but Ron, you're telling me I give Chris Cody a tennis racket and say, all right, walk into your house, and the birds are trying to dive bomb. You telling me he's not knocking that thing out the
I
park?
got a mean backhand.
He could do that, and that would be very, very cruel, because what you're doing.
They're in his house.
They're trying to attack him.
My house.
He's minding his business.
How much they put down in the house? Bird.
Do you understand that the bird is simply trying to protect its nest? That maybe
So's Chris.
What am I trying to do?
A couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you could give it the grace and say, I understand, okay, and protect yourself, put a hat on or something, get in the house quickly. Instead of taking a tennis racket and bashing the bird and then, in fact, creating orphans in a nest that are going to die a slow, miserable death because you decided to hit a bird with a tennis racket.
Let's remember, this thing bombed me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We didn't start it.
I didn't bomb the bird.
Like Pearl Harbor, we didn't start it, but we ended it.
Weird.
I had this happen to me the other day at the park.
You hit it with a tennis racket?
My dog is perpetually being attacked by this one bird, but he doesn't know what's happening because it comes and tries to bite its ass, and then he turns around and there's nothing there. And it happened the other day where I was nearby. It wasn't even in the park, and it started attacking both me and the dog. And my dog is running around.
I'm picturing the dog looking at you, trying to bite my ass.
Yes,
It's not me.
my dog was confused. What's behind me that keeps pecking at my ass? And then it would fly away, and it would get too close to me. I got to get my wife to send it, because you will hear me say, ah! Like
it's a normal reaction.
You will hear me be like, ah! Like,
that would be gold. That would be gold. That would go viral. That's gold.
All right, I gotta find this. I gotta ask Valerie to send it by the end of the segment. In the interim, can you just look at this from the sea? You often tell us that the sea is less explored than space. What the hell is this thing from the sea? Do you know what this is?
Wow.
Jesus, I don't know what it is, but it's just one of the unknown.
It's called a feather star, but I don't know what it is. Is that's a fish? That's what is that?
No, it's an invertebrate. Obviously, it's a feather star, so it's probably related to the starfish, and it's just an invertebrate. But I mean, when you think of the ocean, you look at some of the stuff that's found, 2,000-3,000 feet underneath the ocean. Man, this stuff looks like some of your worst nightmares that you see out of some Star Trek, thing. I mean, it's unbelievable the things that we don't see that exist that are really real. I mean, you don't have to do any AI or any of that stuff. Just look at the bottom of the ocean to have your mind blown.
Let's play for Ron this dog walker. I've never seen this
is wild.
This many dogs for a dog walker. I think this is too many. I think he's overworked. I think that's
can't be safe in this car.
That's close to 25 dogs that are going into the car.
But look how organized they are and how well behaved they are. The guy's doing something right. The guy is obviously earning his money. You don't have any dogs running away or barking or jumping up and down. They're all listening to this guy. This guy.
They're piling for the audio audience. They're piling into an SUV that is not a large SUV.
SUV is generous.
It's a Honda Element.
Oh, he left behind the Queen Elizabeth dog.
I need to see the video of what that car looks like with all those dogs in there.
I mean, I think another one comes out.
Oh, that's a stray.
That's some other lady's
That's
dog.
somebody
Right.
else's
Yes.
dog.
That's some other dogs like, hey, where's the party at?
I'm impressed because all of those dogs were relaxed. They were calm. They seemed to be very obedient and, systematically getting in that vehicle without any type of objection. The guy's doing something right. He's earning his money and he's making a lot of it because dog walkers get paid per dog. And he's got a good check coming in on that one.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Have you ever looked at the dog walker and said that person has a good check coming in at Le Batard Show? Oh, Chris Cody apparently has found he is sending the video right now to Lewis to see. All right, let's play this video as the close to the segment here. Send it to Lewis now. Evidently, I'm judging from Chris's Jolly
It's a
Santa.
little bit of a slow build. There's like 10 seconds and then chaos.
Can you recreate for us before we play the video the reaction you had when the bird came after you?
Well,
Because I think that's the normal reaction. Okay?
I will show. This was a video that I was sending Valerie, and I just saw Chris Cody, and I recognized from his chortling Jolly Santa laughter that he had finally received the video from my wife and probably heard whatever it is the sound was that I made when this bird had in its sights me and the dog retreating. The dog is dumb and confused. The dog doesn't understand what's attacking its ass. The bird's facing me. I'm going to say, about 250 times the size of the bird. The bird is not afraid of me. I am clearly and obviously afraid of the bird. It is a small bird. It's not a large bird. We have a lot of birds around
it's
here.
flapping its wings.
I know, but I am telling you, the balcony on my apartment, I did not know before the balcony on my apartment that the crow will be a carnivore that will eat other birds because it leaves bird parts on my balcony.
Dan, I was at the Metro Rail station. Ron, I wanted to ask you about this. There was a nest up there with one of those fledgling birds, and the crow went and got it out of the nest, brought it down, started pecking it. It basically bled out, and I was just sitting there watching it from like 6 feet away. And Ron, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't mess with the crow.
The crow is a thug.
That's it. The crows are thugs, but they're also one of the smartest birds in the world. As a matter of fact, they are the smartest bird in the world.
Really? Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the crow? Did you know
that's
that
a shocker?
Did you know that
crows and ravens? That whole family, the crows and ravens, are the smartest birds in the world.
Did you know the crow/raven was the smartest bird in the world?
Only took a couple bites too. Left him there to die.
Okay, let's unveil this video here. I'm embarrassed. This was just something I was sending my wife from the park. I don't know exactly how embarrassing this is. I remember it as embarrassing.
Valerie, this bird is pissed off at me.
The mockingbird.
Girl. Keeps swooping in, protecting
The alarm.
his park. Oh! 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 Earl! Yeah! Earl, got your ass, Earl! Earl! You gotta be careful, Earl. Oh.
Got your ass, girl.
There is more stuff about Giannis that I wanted to get into with Amin Al-Hassan, but he again is having some sort of stomach issues or whatever it is that he has to deal with all the time that makes him run in and out of the show. So what we're going to do is at the end of this hour, we are going to give you some concentrated Giannis talk from both Izzy and Amin on Giannis because so many people are interested and fascinated about what that is going to be, because there's going to be very little in sports that's going to be garnering more attention than who's going to add the instant hope of we can get Giannis at 30 years old coming off of his best season. So we're going to put that at the end of this hour, a little sprinkling of Oddball to go with your finals coverage. I saw a headline the other day that I thought had been written by Stugotz, and it made me wonder what Stugotz would make of the following headline, which read, "Coward decommits from Duke, will stay in the NBA draft."
Coward decommits from Duke, stays in the NBA draft? I have no idea what that means. Did Cooper Flagg decide to, what happened?
No, there's a player named Cedric Coward.
Really?
Yes.
It's a terrible name.
I get it.
Poor guy.
It is a bad name, but is it as bad as Braves reliever Scott Blewett? There was a kicker named Blewett, too. Wasn't there at Pittsburgh or FSU or something? Wasn't there? I was trying to think. Like, we've talked before about Bob Walk being a terrible name for a pitcher, but I think Blewett's worse.
Kenny Pickett, not bad.
Chris Blewett.
That's
not the joke. That's his name.
Right.
Chris Blewett.
The kicker's name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which was he from Pittsburgh or from FSU? Where am I remembering a Blewett?
He was on the Bears in 2019.
Not helpful. That's a different. That's
He went to Pitt.
Okay, thank you. Blewett, what? Put it on the poll as well. Blewett, is it a worse name for a kicker or a reliever?
Lifetime 40% field goal percentage.
He's currently the kicker for the Houston Roughnecks.
He still has a job.
I want to play some funny sound for you guys from lacrosse. At the moment, the funniest sound that we have in our archive is Stugotz on ESPN calling a game as the color man and getting it precisely wrong on a game-winning situation. Here is Stugotz during his this would be the greatest moment of your color commentary, play-by-play career at ESPN or anywhere else, correct?
Greatest and only, yes.
Yes. Well, you have others, but you have bad moments that are around our team. But in terms of national pride on anything you're talking about, you calling a lacrosse game on ESPN is a broadcasting highlight for you.
And for context here, he's talking about Sam Apuzzo, who's, I believe, one of the best players in this.
At the time, she was the best player in the world, yes.
And you're saying here in this analysis, like late in the game, they shouldn't go to her.
They were doing that the entire game. They were using Sam as a decoy, and everyone else was scoring the goals. And so I figured they would, stick with what got them there.
But let's see if what Stugotz says should happen happened.
So I've noticed the last couple of BC possessions where it seems like they've tried to force Sam. Sam tried to force something. I'd rather see someone other than Sam get the shot here. And Brick, what I mean by that is they've been better offensively today when Sam's not forcing the action, been more of a decoy than the one generating the offense. Apuzzo going. She's going.
Shot on goal, Boston College! On the shoulders of the Tewaaraton winner, Sam Apuzzo will be heading to the national championship game for a third straight year.
She was due. I mean, still a bad decision. Great call, by the way.
The analysis by Stugotz sounded solid. The result is as bad as it could have gone.
It did. He actually, the way he delivered it was as well as I
was
heard
very
him do
confident.
that. Yes.
Right, yes.
So this next
That's
sound,
the analyst game, by the way. I mean, you got to say things, you got to fill time, and occasionally you're going to be wrong. I mean,
well, in this clip, we have Holy Cross versus Sacred Heart. This was a few weeks back.
The Crusaders.
Big matchup. And this is one of those instances where some fan realizes, oh, look, there's a microphone right there that I can get on this broadcast. So what you're going to hear here is just normal broadcast. And then all of a sudden, you're going to hear something out of left field. And it's just a fan who found a microphone.
And now we'll get our penalty. So Sacred Heart to the man up, trailing by 2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
That's what you do.
Okay. I love
the announcer getting in there that quickly before the Rhea gets out in diarrhea. The announcer realizing the predicament that the broadcast is in and coming in with an okay.
2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
He lets him go, though. Does he think for a second? Is this a sideline reporter?
This is going to end well.
You know what? I've got to say that the way that he did the sing-song on a lot of people saying you wanted to hear him out. And it's not until he got to diarrhea, the key word that closes out the conversation, that things became problematic.
2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
Fairness, that person's not saying it, just reporting. A lot of people are
and there's a live mic. I mean,
But I've got to tell you, though, that once you've started with the lot of people saying, you got to get to the end of it. Like, you can't cut that person off. You got to find out what a lot of people are saying. Perfect execution by the stray ancillary sound of the person who got to the microphone and teased the broadcaster after just enough to get to the word diarrhea, and then the broadcaster's like, okay.
How did he know the timing? Because this guy like starts talking right as they
perfect.
stop. It's
perfect.
He can't hear the broadcast.
It's wonderful.
2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
I'm glad they played through it. Yeah. If they do have diarrhea.
Reckless speculation. I have some reckless speculation. That person sounds a lot. Wait, should I do it? Should I?
Hold on a second. Hold on. You can't do this this way. What are you doing? Quit being irresponsible.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
That sounded like Sarah Spain.
Wow.
The person who says, play it again. Sounds like Sarah Spain.
Hold on. Let's hear him out.
2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we
It
apologize
sounds like
for
Hanley,
our
who
crowd
Josh
mic.
Allen married.
I can hear a little bit of it.
No, I don't.
little
I
bit.
don't
Being a
hear
good
what you're
teammate,
saying.
Tony.
It's the
I think though
playfulness of Sarah Spain.
we can all agree. I believe that the sing-song nature of that fan, combined with the accusation that ends with spraying liquid, is perfect, made better only by the announcer's discomfort comedically. Right.
2 at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
I hear it more.
I don't.
Tint of Spanish there.
I'm more
he
confused
says
than
it,
ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
It sounds exactly like Sarah Spain when she's trying to do like Chicago accent Sarah Spain.
Also, probably an inside job, right? How do you know where that microphone is and what that microphone is for? I'm not saying the person knew or the broadcaster knew, but someone knew and told someone who told someone else what that was for, and that's how that happened. Because how else would you do that as a broadcaster?
I'm fine about that investigation. I'd also like a TV detective show where Pablo Torre shows up and happens to have a few questions for you about everything that happened there. I believe that not only was it an inside job that the participant knew that a microphone was nearby, I believe it was practiced. That sentence was practiced. The conclusion of diarrhea was practiced. And the sing-song way that makes it that you have to stay with it till the end of the thought, I believe all of that is something that was not impromptu, that was something that was given a lot of consideration. And I also believe that it's an excellent insult to file at Sacred Heart. To say that a lot of people are saying that Sacred Heart as an institution has digestive issues, that when they're in private, they have liquid because they can't control their bowels.
Is that an insult?
Yes.
Why?
To accuse someone of having diarrhea.
I love a good diarrhea.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard
you
Show.
can't control it.
I feel good after.
Right.
A day or two after I have it, I'm good.
Yeah.
Looking light.
I go
feeling
instantly.
good.
I'd say 5 minutes after I feel good.
Yep.
No way.
It's kind of like throwing up afterwards.
Yeah.
Much better.
Oh, so much better than a diet, too.
Cagalitroso is a great Spanish insult. Cagalera is funnier as a word in Spanish than diarrhea is in English. And I believe it is an insult to accuse someone of having diarrhea. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If you've accused someone of having diarrhea, are you aspiring to insult them?
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.
That okay is just okay.
Dan, I have something here that just hit me, but I think Amin can help me.
Careful.
So Amin, when you make a shot in a basketball game, that's a random shot that shouldn't have gone in, what do you call it?
Happy birthday, usually what you say to the guy who shot it, right?
A
Lucky
cag,
shot.
right? You call it a cag.
Cag?
Yeah, a cag.
Wow.
That is something
Is
that's
that just-
actually uniquely Miami.
Is that a Miami
Tony,
thing?
excellent, because I did not know until this moment. We've talked before about CAG being something that Hispanics in Miami say, and we've also talked before about whether that is just, as Billy likes to say, a uniquely Miami expression. But I really didn't know until right now that
It's cagalera.
I did not know that to CAG, it's to get lucky on a basketball shot or to get lucky in general. I did not know that was shortened for cagalera for diarrhea in Spanish.
Yes,
First
I
time
thought-
learning of that.
When I play basketball, when we've always played basketball in here, like, oh, you made that shot from half court, it's a cag. Or you made the shot that banks off the side when you're shooting from the angle, it's a cag.
We always used to say happy birthday, to indicate okay.
Now you know it's
Lucky.
a CAG.
Lucky day.
So
had diarrhea.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. What do you say on a lucky bank shot in basketball? Happy birthday, CAG, or Banks Open?
How long have you been hearing CAG though, Dan?
Banks Open is only when you're the one who made it. Right? When you make the bank shot,
You have to bank it, right?
You got to bank it. You
Yes.
said Banks Open.
Banks
and
Open.
Extra points if you
Right.
do it either at night or
Right.
on the weekend.
Yes.
Do it on a Sunday run? Oh, my God. Banks Open.
Do you guys not assume? I've always Cade Cunningham hit a game winner earlier this year where it was from 3 and he banked it in.
Here against the Heat?
I would think that for a basketball player, it's slightly diluted to hit the game winner that way. Just a little, that it's not quite as great.
If there was no backboard, do you know how far past the rim that ball would go?
But I'm maintaining, though, that not all game winners are equal. That if a player in the NBA makes one on a bank, it feels plenty good, but it doesn't feel as good as making it clean.
Dan, the unwritten rule is if you hit a game or buzzer-beating bank shot that you did not mean to bank, you have to shrug and smile like, oh, my God, how lucky. You have to acknowledge that wasn't on purpose. Now, if you're like Tim Duncan falling away and you hit that bank shot, bank's open.
Well, he's the only one who has 24/7 bank hours all over the world, any country, any time of
Dirk
day.
had extended hours as well.
Not the
extended
same.
hours.
No, he can get extended hours, but only Tim Duncan's got that private banker that's always answering.
Always on call.
when he's got a call.
Him and you, Dan.
I also imagine Tim Duncan walking into a bank.
Same.
I'm not making up what I'm telling you
We
from
know.
yesterday. But I think you guys imagine me leaving with a garbage bag that has a dollar bill sign on the side, and it's not that.
That wouldn't be smart.
It was just a stack of bills that were wrapped in a small garbage bag. It was not.
I had you like Santa Claus. The thing was over your shoulder. So much
Money
cash.
flowing
Could only be one thing.
Because remember, guys, it's too much money to take out from an ATM, apparently. So it's got to be an amount of money.
The daily limit's $600 on an ATM.
How much you spend a day in cash?
Again, I'm not doing it for the day.
What's a daily limit?
You keep doing that. Yeah, but I don't want to have to go back to the bank. Like
I don't think you like going to the bank.
I don't
I
mind.
think you like
to the bank.
interacting.
Yeah,
you
you
talk
seem
to
to
your
enjoy
teller.
it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Phyllis, how's it going?
I
How are the
sometimes go into the
kids?"
bank and just don't even take out any money. Just I make them say out loud how much I got in here, and then I leave.
Oh,
I always learn my bank limits at a casino when it's like you can't take any more out.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They shame you.
It's just like, yeah, you've taken
I
it
could have
out.
swore I had more.
They're
like,
doing
buddy-
it for you, Chris.
Hey, buddy, you have a family.
I wish I had a spot like the bank or whatever where I just kind of go and hang out. Like that's my waiting room. I don't really have business.
How about the bakery that
day,
you went to
just
get
go.
your pastelitos?
Nah.
They pulled up a picture, by the way.
See,
of
not a home
Dan's
bakery,
money
Dan.
bag.
I knew it.
This is Dan's money bag from yesterday.
It was a very small bag that I put in my pocket, but it was that material of trash bag. And it was very, I didn't even understand what was happening. It felt like I was doing something illegal. They simply,
You felt alive,
They
huh?
they simply gave me, it was raining so hard. I don't know where else this is happening. It must be happening all over the world.
Hold on, Dan.
Are you calling a 20?
I am.
What are you doing?
I'm going 20. Hold on. Dan, you said it was wrapped in the plastic and then you put it in your pocket, right? Then if it's in your pocket, why does it need to be wrapped from plastic to protect from the rain? It's in your pocket.
Again, this is the teller not knowing where I was going to put it or if I was going to put it in my pocket.
Phyllis.
Big pockets.
It's not. What are you doing?
Phyllis is the name of the teller in the
Teller.
story we were just telling.
Yeah.
Why did you just blurt?
It was a callback.
Yeah, to the story. Yeah.
That's
You
your
walk in,
teller.
hey Phyllis, how's it going? I'm
How
here
are
for
the kids?
usual.
Yeah.
Exactly. Phyllis gives you some mints.
Are we
On
still
with your day.
making Phyllis's?
Well,
We doing
Only at the
mi-
bank.
Do we do mints at banks?
yeah. And
Really?
and banks. I have a question for you guys. On a technicality,
We're gonna take a full time out here.
you go into the bank. Banks have pens.
You know what? I'm going to take an 8-minute timeout.
Well, I mean, that's rude. You go and you have
8 minutes.
you go and a lot of banks have pens now that are on those chains so they don't get lost,
so
whatever.
you don't steal the pen, yeah.
But if it's the cup and it says like Regions Bank, I don't even know if that's still a bank, but whatever. The bank is there and it's all a bunch of pens in a pen cup, right? And you take the pen and then you go home. Did you rob a bank?
Oh, man, that's...
You robbed something from the bank.
Did you rob
Hold
a
on,
bank?
hold on. I'm following you here, Billy. Now, I have some follow-up questions. the pen, does it have like a piece of paper at the end and a lot of Scotch tape around it?
No,
Or is it
not
just,
this one. This is a high-end bank.
Just a regular pen?
It's a cup of pens. It has a pen in it. You take the pen.
It's locked in with one of those little tiny ball and socket pens.
No, he's saying it's a
that one.
loose pen.
Loose
That's what
pen.
he's
Loose
saying.
pen.
Yes, a loose
But
pen.
it has the bank's name on it.
Love the little ball
There
and
you go.
socket.
That was the second question. The
It's
second
branded,
question, if
yeah.
it's branded,
Branded.
and it's in a cup, that's yours to take, man.
Really?
Thank you for banking with us.
Okay, what if it was on the chain and you're in a pinch and you go and you take it off and then you walk out?
Now you rob
If
the
it's on
bank.
a
Then you
chain,
rob
you're
the bank.
stealing. Yes.
You're a bank robber.
Right. They chained it there for a reason.
The In-N-Out Bandit.
They don't want you to take it.
One of the things COVID did to us was at these doctor offices, all appointments now, when you sign in anywhere, it's here's the clean cup, and then when you're done with it, put it in this cup. We're done with that, right? Can we get back to just cups?
I don't
Put the
think-
pens in the cups.
Chris, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think anyone ever followed the rules on that one. Anyway.
Sometimes I go crazy. I grab from the dirty cup.
What's the cup situation?
They have two cups. They have pens in one cup, and it says clean.
They sanitize pens now, so
And
it's
then-
like there's a cup full of pens. You take one.
Oh.
Once you sign with it, put it into the dirty
Into
cup.
the next
Chris.
cup.
I never dealt
Chris,
with
hold
that.
on.
I'm with Chris. Let's just
Hold
sign
on.
it and put it back in
Hold
the cup.
on.
I mean,
Chris, you have them sanitizing. I have them just switching the cups like this. All right, this one's pulling out.
to give the appearance of
Right. The clean is
sanitizing.
the dirty, and the dirty is the
At this
clean.
point, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, what are we
You're
doing
not
here?
cleaning
The idea
shit.
of someone still to like, let me. Well, yeah.
I wonder what the day was. Like, what was the day that you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. Because, like, you know how they tell you, like, oh, this is the last time you ever play outside with your brother and sister. This is the last time you were in your yard and you ever played. You didn't realize it at its time. Like, those sentimental, like, posts, whatever. There was a day for everyone where you're like, you know what? I'm done with these protocols. Not for me anymore. I'm moving on. I'm no longer wiping down my groceries with wipes. I'm no longer sanitizing my pens after I go to the doctor.
I did mine about 6 months before I admitted publicly.
Well, that was everyone's move, right?
We were still in COVID.
We would come on the air, we're like, how dare people go to concerts? And then this weekend, like, oh, we're going to go see this weekend.
I live in Arizona and I work in Florida, and I can tell you unequivocally that there are plenty of people where it never began. Yeah. They just kept. I remember that first day.
Tampa.
First day I went outside and I was like, okay, I got to go to the grocery store, and I masked up and I had everything. And I thought, like, I'm going to go to Costco and it's going to be empty. That was so packed. The parking lot looked like Black Friday. Everyone was in there. Nobody masked up. Everyone just running around coughing and touching things. It was crazy.
God bless America.
What was the dumbest thing we did in that? I'm going to say that I'm just going to speak for myself.
Wow.
The dumbest thing I did during COVID was hold my breath while walking by someone in a grocery store.
Oh, you meant that. I thought you meant the most reckless thing you did.
Like I'm
Wait, you actually did this?
like I'm not playing that
Like
game.
took the job.
Wait, hold on. I want to hear more about this. You were walking through the grocery store.
And as like if I was going in an aisle and someone was passing me, I would I don't want to
you
breathe
did that
in.
as well?
Yeah, of
Good
course.
job.
A lot of people were doing
I would
that.
Was
walk
the other
off.
person doing it to you?
I would walk off the sidewalk onto like grass mounds
Yes.
and wave for people. I'm 6 feet, and I would go up and things, and I was like off-roading just with my legs.
I think the wiping down of the milk carton was pretty dumb.
Yep, that was
like
dumb.
I was like washing milk cartons, and and then like, oh, I missed the spot. I got to go back and scrub it all over.
Well, we had the indoor-outdoor clothes also, right?
yeah.
I think that was like
Yeah.
a common
Well,
thing.
I don't think I ever did that.
I don't like. Well, yeah, you're talking about taking off your clothes before you even enter the house, right?
Well, I was in an apartment, so like I would come in and then like disrobe right in the doorway and just
Hell
like
yeah.
walk through and
What a time.
Baby.
go put on my other clothes. How do you think us now with young children that are growing up, when they like publish like the new history books or whatever that come out, in like 20 years, because history really only happens in like 20-year increments as far as schools go, I think, right? Like it's like, well, this one was printed in 2004, so hopefully nothing happens until 2030 because that's when the new edition is coming out. We're not updating any history between now and then, right?
No chance.
So when this comes out and is like published and your kids are in, I don't know, 7th grade, 8th grade or whatever, and it's like, so in 2020, right? 2020, it's this worldwide pandemic and no one could leave the house and you had to be in there. And then your kids are like, you went through this? What's the play? Let's all get on the same page here. So we tell our, what is the play?
Make it seem worse.
A lot of video games.
Are we like, man, it was, you're never going to experience anything like this. Hopefully,
Right.
if you're lucky, you will never experience anything like this. You'll be like, man, it's kind of chill,
I'm not telling the
Got to
truth.
talk to people, got to
Kinda
work from
chill.
home for a
You're
while.
going to do the 15 miles to school every day kind of
my
thing?
God.
We're still
this
there.
This is the thing. Like my kids, obviously they went through it. They were in school when it happened. But like my grandchildren, I'm going to tell them like, Well, it was a crazy time. And it'll be like Mad Max. I'm going to describe Mad Max.
The bodies were on the floor in the streets.
We were going around like one guy had a guitar and he was kind of like leaning back and forth on the front of this truck.
There was a Tiger King.
And I mean, you have to talk about how, like, the measures you went to protect the grandchildren, the kids, everything, right?
Well, I think the devil is in the details, right? Like, obviously the medical stuff was very serious. A lot of people lost their lives. We're not making light of that. But once we get to, like, the toilet paper section of the history, that's when it's like, and you had to go, and there wasn't toilet paper for weeks on end. And you had to go buy toilet paper, and you'd have to get a tip from someone. This is where the toilet paper is. This is where the good stuff is. That's where I had to go to Charmin. That's where the Angel Soft was.
In New York, they used to, at the end of every day, they would open their windows and take pots and pans and clang them.
Oh, that was so
like
annoying.
To celebrate like the people.
Not in New York, but like the Italian cities where they all like decide, oh, you know what? We all play the trombone now. And it's like, I would have moved. I would have moved. Honestly, you open the window like, it's like, shut the fuck up.
You're enjoying your silence.
I can't get out of my house. Stop it. You guys are terrible with your instruments. Stop it.
Content creators exploded in 2020. Like, that's what really happened. Everyone after that went out and bought a Shure mic and a webcam.
Shure mic.
And that's when everything fell apart.
I love it.
Great year for Shure mics and blue mics. Oh, my God.
And weights. Free weights.
Oh, free weights?
Like, it never recovered, by the way. I wanted to get a pair of dumbbells for the house, like $75 each. I'm like,
oh, my God,
$150
yeah.
for 25 pounds?
No, and then you're like, you know what? It's going to go back. And it never did.
Sure,
Just like
Sure
houses.
must have like meetings weekly of like, how do we get the pandemic back?
Oh, Zoom for sure is out there trying to like put out diseases into the world,
The
right?
pandemic made Zoom, though,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
You know who made
Killed Skype somehow.
Wait,
Skype,
so you guys
I mean,
are
geez.
accusing
Come on,
Zoom
Skype.
of trying to create another
Get your act together,
pandemic?
Skype.
Skype
Not
really
trying
dropped the
to,
ball.
but they're thinking like,
You know who made a killing off of the Zoom blowing up? Andre Iguodala. He was
Really?
invested before
Iggy.
the pandemic.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Get out of here.
Dude, man, the guy's just smart.
Seems like he knew something.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's that. Maybe it was an inside job. Golden State Warriors did this. You think Steph Curry knew?
The luck of Andre Iguodala. I mean, seriously.
It's not luck. He's shrewd.
I'm sure he has some losers in there.
Karl Anthony Towns?
Coming up next, Amin, Oddball. Set it up for the people.
We're talking about Giannis destinations, folks. Is he coming to Toronto? Is he coming to New York? Is he coming right here to Miami? We're going to look at it. We're going to talk about it. Me and Izzy. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Izzy, finals are in a couple of days. We got that little dead period. Media day hasn't happened yet, so there's not enough stuff to talk about. So what we're going to talk about is apparently Giannis Antetokounmpo could be on the move. That's the thing that everyone's talking about because he is the biggest superstar on the market. The free agency market, not really sexy. Giannis, that's sexy.
Yes.
And so we've got to find the sexiest location for sexy Giannis to be sexy under the bright lights. And we start, of course, on Broadway, right?
Right, with the New York Knicks, because not just because they were recently eliminated, not just because when Giannis was eliminated, he was seen walking the streets of New York City, but because the spokesman for New York, Stephen A. Smith, said something in regard to Giannis. And we have the quote, but we also have sound of the quote. So here it is.
Sure, let's play the sound. If you've got an opportunity to get Giannis, I don't give a damn who you have to give up to get him. You do it.
That was Stephen A. Smith himself. I mean, we mentioned it yesterday. You like the fit. I don't know of a team that's going to say, hey, I don't like the fit of Giannis, but you like the fit of Giannis in New York. You think, what level of possibility is this?
Let me be clear. Let's start with one thing and one thing only, which is we're not talking about what you got to give up to get him. We're just talking about he's here.
Okay.
How does he fit? I think he fits pretty good. Look, the Knicks clearly need a couple of things. Number one, they need consistent offensive production that's not named Jalen Brunson.
Right.
Number two, they need someone who can be active defensively.
Ideally, that same player.
Same player, yes. And so Giannis fulfills those things. Giannis, on his part, is not known as a closer because of his shooting struggles, because his free throw struggles. Who can forget bricking for chicken?
Who can forget Chris Whittingham famously saying that Giannis was a number 2 to Chris Middleton?
I could forget it.
All right,
want to
let's all
forget
forget
it.
that.
I never want to
Ready?
remember that.
Okay, never remember that one again.
But the bricking for chicken thing is real, right? And so Jalen Brunson, the best closer in the league, would, in theory, be a great fit. Counterpoint, That's what we said about Damian Lillard 2 years ago.
True. Although I will say that Jalen is a different style of player, maybe not hunting for threes as often as Damian does, which probably would be a bad thing, right? Wouldn't that clog up the paint if you're the New York Knicks, if Jalen wants to drive all the time, but so does Giannis? Look, I don't think if you're talking about not worrying about who you give up for him, you can't really discuss it with the Knicks because you're probably going to have to give up Karl Anthony Towns, which most people wouldn't really say, that, like, not even give it a second thought. Of course, you make that trade. And so if you're upgrading from Cat to Giannis, it doesn't matter if it fits particularly well. You just do it.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, any other combination of people too, because again, Giannis is a transcendent type player who just had the best season of his career. A lot of people are like, oh, he's past his prime. I'm like, nope, you're looking at his prime right now.
Can we do that really quick? Because again, I grew up in a time where the prime was pretty much detailed. Like it was explained, hey, you're in your prime from about the ages of 26, 27 to about 32. Like 33 was the high end of it. He's still 30 years old, Giannis. And in today's age where you feel like we're extending ourselves beyond our prime, you could imagine his prime being well into 35, 36. So that conversation to me is out the window.
Well, I mean, that's like Michael Jordan's prime was like, most people would have gone by the definition, the first three-peat, but he was more dominant in the second three-peat. Certainly a smarter, more cerebral player. And the Bulls were way more successful despite not having way more talent than they did in the first three-peat. Yeah, I would say that the prime is whenever you're playing your best basketball. That's when it is.
So it's clear he would be great and welcomed, and they'd tear down the streets in New York.
Yes.
What about Miami? Since we're here. They've always been tied to Giannis back when he was available the first time, reportedly. He's got some ties to Bam Adebayo.
They asked him, hey, what are your favorite cities? Your favorite place in the league? You know, it's on Twitter, and he responded, unsolicited. He said, Florida cities.
Yes. But this feels like a situation where Miami is just out of its depth, right? Not only when you have the Bucks GM saying, or reportedly taking the approach of we're going to tear down the roster or strip clean the roster of whoever we trade him to. Miami, A, doesn't really have a very attractive roster, and B, hasn't really shown the willingness to part with some of those attractive pieces. So it's really a non-starter, isn't it?
It reminds me of the line from Dumb and Dumber where they break into Lloyd Christmas's apartment because they're looking for the briefcase. And
like most other movies, I've only seen this the one time. So you're going to have to remind me of the line.
It's the two henchmen, and they walk in, and the one henchman says, maybe we like make a mess of the place to send a message. And the second henchwoman, I should say, looks around and says, I don't think they're going to get that message, right? It's like, we're going to strip clean to send them a message. And you look around like,
it's pretty squeaky clean already.
As is if you're Miami. Look, Bam Adebayo is not something to sneeze at as far as a starting point, right?
Right.
If it's Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, I mean, it's pretty cool.
It might as well be an expansion franchise if you're the Miami Heat, getting Giannis and stripping everybody else.
Right. But the flip side of it is, if you're the Miami Heat, your claim to fame is we make lemonade out of lemons, right? We are the ones that squeeze blood out of a rock. And so you tell Giannis, look, we'll get this thing operational around you. We'll get tough guys who are going to play well. And obviously, you're coached by the best coach perhaps in the entire NBA in Eric Spoelstra. That's your sales pitch. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the Giannis sales pitch that they'd have to worry about. It's the Bucks sales pitch where you're telling them, hey, this is the best you can do for a Giannis offer.
All right, so I don't know how much Giannis cares about repeating somebody else's path, but this was a LeBron path, right, to Miami. What about the Raptors? Well, we had the Kawhi Leonard path there, obviously won the championship, and there has been a little bit of smoke when it comes to the Raptors and the possibility of him heading there.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely a connection, right? There's very famous video of the Raptors war room on draft day 2013 trying to move up because they're trying to get to Giannis. They're trying to get to Giannis, and unfortunately they could not. They just miss him. And so because the Bucks take him at, I believe it was 15, I want to say 18, right? So, he knows, Giannis knows for a fact, they love him, right? Masai specifically loves him. Masai's Nigerian. Giannis obviously comes from a Nigerian family.
You're right at 15, by the way. There was somebody else famously taken at 18, but that's another show.
Okay. But you've got that connection there. Masai reportedly helped Giannis get his visa when he first came over here. So there's a lot of connections. And then obviously the Raptors have a history of going after players of African descent with, Siakam, OG Anunoby, Precious Achua, just to name a few from the conference finals alone, right?
Big sneeze.
And so, I think there is definitely an affinity there. Again, it would be the kind of same situation we talk about Miami. It's like, Giannis, are you prepared to go to what is essentially a rebuild? And it comes back down to, I trust the front office and I trust the coaching. Now, the difference between Miami and Toronto is that Toronto actually has some stuff that's a little bit more savory to offer.
Some stuff, or not so sweet, but savory. Scotty Barnes, right, would be a future face of the NBA, according to his coach.
Shout out Coach
It seems like a possible, obviously, somebody that the Bucks would want back. And this was a quote from Brian Windhorst really quick, where he said that the Raptors are trying to look for a big fish. So you would imagine that, and this is also Doug Smith, who's been at it forever at the Toronto Star. He reported Giannis and the Raptors had some mutual interest there. So there is, like I said, a lot of smoke there. I don't think Giannis really cares about repeating somebody else's path. It is what it is, right? He's already done it in Milwaukee, so nobody has the path that he took. But to me, you're right. It's one of those situations where it's like the Miami Heat. If you give up on Scotty Barnes, what do we really have there? It's not like a Kawhi Leonard situation where he was forced to go over there and didn't have an option.
You know, if I'm the Toronto Raptors, you know what? I don't, as I'm trying to, you know, all these people are trying to court John Horst, the GM of the Bucks. Say, come on. Oh, man, future face of the league, Scotty Barnes. You know what I don't want them to see? The video of Scotty Barnes rollerblading, because like he's like, oh, Scotty's like a 5-tool player, and he's young. He's the sky's the limit. He was an all-star for the first time this year, and then the video comes out, and you're like,
one of those tools is not rollerblading, apparently. And this, of course, is not Toronto. You can tell by looking at it. This is in Florida, and this is very much a Florida thing. Like Scotty's just sitting on his couch and saying, you know what? I'm going to try rollerblading in the middle of a busy intersection.
Yeah, one of his teammates posted this and said, like, he actually fell immediately before this video starts, which is totally believable.
He's going to mess up that face of the NBA.
All right, Izzy. Let's go ahead and tee up the next possible destination.
Where could that be?
Houston.
What?
Yeah.
The Houston Rockets give up on their homegrown talent that they clearly have enough of to win a championship just for this guy? No, I'm kidding. Of course, I do think that the Rockets should look into, like, they've already gone from up and coming team to team that needs a quote unquote like finishing piece, if you will. Obviously, Giannis is more than that. They would have to, you know, probably give up on Jabari Smith Jr., probably Jalen Green, probably one of those young guys on the bench, maybe a Cam Whitmore, which I think if you're a Houston Rockets fan, you're saying, okay, fine. Like, I'm fine with that. Just leave me Sengun, leave me maybe the backcourt if you want, but if you want to touch the backcourt too, leave me Amen Thompson. If you want to bring on Giannis, do it, because that is like win the West automatically.
It's like in Half Baked when they break the news to Kenny that, hey, we found a way to post your bill.
I saw the movie just once. You're gonna have to tell me exactly what happened.
We gotta bail you out, Kenny, but it's gonna involve selling drugs. I know you frown upon that. And Kenny's like, go, sell drugs, do whatever you need to do, get me out of here.
All right, well, I think we have to get the headlines, but there is a possibility of the Thunder.
Let's do headlines tomorrow. Let's finish out with the San Antonio Spurs. How about that? You want to put them next to Wembanyama and then have like 18 million feet of just length everywhere on the court. They'll allow like 14 points a game. It'll be the most beautiful version of defensive basketball we've ever seen, no?
So we're moving on from, we're not talking about who they have to give up. We're just talking about the vision. Yeah. So they would effectively be like the anti-Warriors of 2015, right? Yeah. You won with all that shooting and not that much size. We win with nothing but size and defense. Yeah. And you know what? Every once in a while, make a three-pointer. Like, that to me is, if you want to go ahead and just talk about leaving your imprint and like changing the game. You won your little championship in Milwaukee. You became, you know, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Lou Alcindor, and now you're going to do absolutely wild shit with the San Antonio Spurs. That to me is the gamble of all gambles and the move to make.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, again, it's like Robinson and Duncan being together, where Robinson's still a great player, but then you got Duncan coming up in his prime.
All right, well, we got one last thing. We got another soundbite from Stephen A. Smith. Turns out he was watching Oddball live.
All right. Amin Hassan's impersonation of me is a defamatory abomination of linguistic gibberish. His acting is almost as bad as this ridiculous man's rollerblading abilities. They should both stay off the weed.
Look, I've been a colleague of Amin Hassan's for a long time, and I don't think I've actually seen him smoke anything. It's not really his drug of choice.
I don't think that was an actual Stephen A. Smith quote.
Really? Really? So I shouldn't defend you blindly?
I'm going on a limb and think that one was doctored.
All right.
Look at him rollerblade. He looks like a baby giraffe.
I mean, why are you saying here, before we get to Juju, why are you saying that streaming is dead?
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about this yesterday with Greg Cody because he was talking about how much he loves that show, Mobland. And Mobland, it was a phenomenal show on Paramount Plus. A-listers, Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren. And it turns out that it's in jeopardy of not getting renewed, despite being really good, because the numbers just aren't there.
Also a big cast. I mean, that's an expensive cast, sounds like.
Well, yeah, connected to that, the Disney Plus show Andor, season 2 just wrapped up. It's done incredibly because it's the Star Wars show that's for people who don't watch Star Wars. It's very gritty. It's very grounded in reality. And Tony Gilroy, who's the showrunner, he's the guy behind Michael Clayton and other great movies that you might love. He said basically Disney told him, we're out of streaming after this in terms of TV shows. We're going back to just put it into movies, and the idea here is that they just found out it's not a worthwhile business model to be sinking premium money into creating premium content for streaming.
Can actors or actresses take a role that then ruins their reputation for you? Like, do you have anything? Because we had like the family over this weekend. They were talking about that. They were talking about Helen Mirren, and Helen Mirren is one of the actors or actresses that gets the classic. Well, she's classically trained from the theater, and everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, classically trained from the theater, classically trained from the theater." Like this is this big respectful thing. I go, she's in like 4 Fast and Furious movies. Like, let's relax with how great Helen Mirren is. Like, she is in the Fast and the Furious now. No more classically trained for Helen Mirren. Fast and the Furious.
I thought that was the greatest praise an actor could get in your world.
It is the greatest praise in my world. In my world, one of the biggest insults is classically trained from the theater. Okay. So when they're saying that, Helen Mirren, I was like, no, that's Jason Statham's mom. Like, enough with the theater situation.
Juju, before we get to you, I do want to just sort of be curious about why it is that Mobland wouldn't be renewed, and just like that is renewed, the Sex and the City spinoff on Max, when that show needed to die.
Sex sells, though, Dan.
But this is not the kind of sex that sells. No. Do you think that...
It's Sex in the City. I mean,
okay, so fine. Miranda with Rosie O'Donnell is the sex that sells. At Le Batard Show, put it on the poll. Is Miranda with Rosie O'Donnell the sex that sells? Juju, what is the fan commentary that we have on today's show? What is the criticism that people are levying at us today?
Miranda?
Good to be here. Happy Pride Month to the community out there. You feel me? Joseph Joe Lights from Twitter says, I'm not letting Dan claim flan as Cuban. And he put up a article where it says, flan is a Spanish and Mexican dessert.
It's in Spanish because Spanish kind of did all that.
Also, I've been corrected by my brethren. Even though we call it creme caramel in Sudan, it's not actually creme caramel. It's flan, but we just call it that.
Yes, Living Sleazy also says, someone tell Dan that flan belongs to all Latinos, not just Cubans.
Breakfast flan. No more beat because Billy's mad at me.
Tony, what are your thoughts here? Billy, what are your thoughts on Cuba being flan? That getting to be ours? Do you guys reject
Cuba was flan, I'd swim right now.
Breakfast flan.
You'd risk communism in order to get to breakfast flan?
I've been through a lot worse, Dan.
Did you guys not think, do I have this wrong, Billy and Tony, did you not think that flan was Cuban?
I think that the word flan is Cuban, right? So when I think of that, that's what I think of. But I think people have it by other names, and it's kind of the same dish. It just goes by different names.
Breakfast flan.
I was looking up where everything was from yesterday because I feel like we do claim everything. So I was like, I don't know. Like tequeños, I think, are Venezuelan.
Yeah,
I was looking up like everything to see exactly
pastelitos
where it
are
came
ours.
from. Yeah. I mean, I get it at a Cuban bakery, but I don't know its land of origin.
Cuban bread, ours.
I know it's the destination though. In my belly.
The word flan is French. The earliest settlers in Cuba were French.
Breakfast
That's why
flan.
my last name is the Bastard.
Breakfast flan. Bastard.
Also, I think the show Mobland, I think it fell victim to being on Paramount Plus. If it was on Max, then it would be all over the world right now, but no one asked me that. I'm so sorry.
Now, what do you mean? What are you sorry about? It doesn't.
were talking about it right before you came
sorts
on.
of opinions given out here that no one is given permission to give. I don't know why you're apologizing for your opinion. Before we get to polls, though, what else do you have for us today? You know what we haven't talked about? Everyone's watching the softball. There is a lot of televised softball
Massive
going on.
ratings, yes.
But we are not among those who are watching the softball.
Yeah, I watched. I'm locked in. Yesterday, Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. Oh my goodness, so much drama. They had a shutout pitched until the bottom of the 7th inning, where Oklahoma had 1 strike left. Hit a home run to tie the game, 2-run homer, and then Texas Tech came back in the bottom of the inning and closed the deal. Oklahoma, who has pretty much one of the winningest softball teams in history. There was like 7 consecutive World Series appearances, if not championships. You know what I mean? I think in my opinion, I think those women deserve a league, a professional softball league. We should have one. Start off with like 8 teams or so, you know what I mean? Because I think these little girls, they love this. And it's a shame that this is the highest level of softball, other than the Olympics, that we get.
Juju, I have a question for you. You mentioned that one of the teams had 7 straight championship appearances. Is that A, knowledge that Juju has because I've been a softball fan forever? B, knowledge Juju has because it was mentioned on the broadcast? Or C, knowledge that Juju has because he went and did the homework and the research once he started getting into softball?
Now, I was watching it on the game and they kept saying it. And so I was locked in just to tune in to – they got the best pitcher at Texas Tech. I can't even think of her name on the spot right now. But she's the first millionaire NIL pitcher ever.
Good for her.
I was just rooting for her. You know what I mean? I was rooting for her, and then whenever she almost blew it at the end, my heart was broken. But they kept hammering it over our head how good Oklahoma has been.
Isn't it some sort of ridiculous upset that Texas Tech beat Oklahoma for the first time in a long time? One of the things you said about World Series appearances, I don't think it's possible that Oklahoma has won 7 straight titles. They've probably made 7 straight appearances in the bidding for the title. But wasn't Texas Tech beating them as like a 13 or something?
Right, 12.
So one of the larger upsets you're going to find, and no one's ever expecting, I guess, Oklahoma to lose to Texas Tech in that situation.
Juju, you asked for and you received. Launching in June 2025 is an AUSL Athletes Unlimited Softball League, professional women's softball league featuring 4 teams playing a 24-game season in a traditional format. So you
well
asked,
deserved.
and they delivered.
Athletes Unlimited, that's they also did the basketball. That's where my celebrity game Bad Shot is from. It's from the Athletes Unlimited women's viral decontextualization.
I believe Kim Eng runs that league.
She's the commissioner of the league. Yeah. Jenny Finch is an advisor. So, yeah, it's coming together.
Oklahoma has won 4 consecutive NCAA titles, made it to 8 straight.
Dynasty?
Woo!
Yeah.
Definitely Dynasty. And the pitcher's name is Nigeri Kennedy. Niger. Salute to Niger.
Can you give us any commentary on the beef between Bill Simmons and Pablo Torre? It seems everyone at Meadowlark Media is siding with Bill Simmons for some reason.
Not true.
I don't understand what's happening there.
I definitely side with Pablo for sure. Because Bill Simmons, he came at me on social media a couple weeks ago. He went under the radar. He tried to get us back or something, but neither here nor there. I still give Bill Simmons the credit for having Pablo on his show. I know Pablo would have loved for him to be on Pablo Torre Finds Out, but I'm sure that Bill was like, nah, never. I still want the smoke. And he didn't duck the smoke. A lot of people could be keyboard warriors, so I commend both of those brothers for stepping up to the task, and hopefully it remains civil because we know how Pablo gets.
Juju, here's the problem, Juju. You're saying, oh, yeah, he wants to smoke. But, again, it's not a live show. So he could go on there and Pablo can ask the questions that you don't want me to ask about. And then Bill can go chop, 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 edit, and it just comes out as like Pablo's like, duh, and Bill's like, oh, it's cool.
Then you pull a Tim Dillon with CNN and say, put it all out. And then they do it, and then you get to win on the back end.
Yeah.
That's also a Shannon Sharp. Put it all out. What were you laughing about there, Billy? What was so funny?
I just said that's quite an accusation.
I mean, I'm just saying he could do that.
It is a big accusation. He could do that, and you are just saying it, but you're claiming some great immorality in editing that would embarrass Pablo and favor Bill. It's a reckless speculation.
You think Bill is going to favor Pablo and embarrass himself on his own show?
I don't know why you'd assume anybody would be embarrassed in that
It's
scenario.
on Bill's home court. I mean,
which podcast
think
is
Pablo?
it on? Is it Bill
Right.
Simmons'
The Bill
podcast,
Simmons
or is it on the Rewatchables, which was the podcast where it happened? Because it'd be great if he has Pablo on and they don't talk about it at all. They just rewatch an old movie.
They just talk about Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah.
File.
Pablo will not let that injustice happen, though. You think Pablo gonna let that happen from the creators of Jordan and the crew? Nah. If it is an injustice, he gonna talk about it on Pablo Torre finds out. 100%.
Dan, again, the quote is, since you have such a strong public opinion about my work, I happen to have a few questions for you specifically. You think they're just going to go over there and just say like, oh, it was a misunderstanding? No, Pablo's coming there with questions. Questions that could be damaging to Bill Simmons.
Juju, do you like the idea of a either television detective or someone dressed like Pablo coming in and their signature phrase after opening up a briefcase being, I happen to have a few questions for you?
I love it. I love it 100%.
Dan, we also workshopped the end of the cold open to the first episode. He does that bit that you just said, and the guy is left like shaking and he's sweating and he's like pale. And as Pablo's walking out, it's like, who is this guy? And he turns around and is like, I'm Pablo Torre. And I find out. And he throws a toothpick at him and we get the opening credits.
Okay, I thought it was fine the way that it was, but now we're.
That's why you're not on
needs a
TV.
little bit more. It needs a little bit more.
toothpick, yeah.
Okay, so the exploding toothpick of threat.
that makes everything. Dan.
Okay, an exploding toothpick is what you've added to the mix.
Slow motion walking away with the explosion
You
behind
need
him.
something. All he has is questions.
Is it getting embedded in Simmons' forehead? What's happening with the toothpick? It's just
exploding.
exploding.
It
Yes.
explodes on
Yes.
contact.
It wrecks everything.
It's a good thing. It just has to get close enough. You know, it doesn't have to exactly hit the target because it explodes.
Okay, so it's
Horseshoes
a
and hand
toothpick that
grenades.
acts as a grenade. Excellent. Okay. It couldn't be enough to be a briefcase and a detective. Now we have to throw an exploding toothpick in the mix to make it just a little better than
Imagine if that's how it all ends for Pablo, right? He's there finding out, but he's really just blowing up all these investigations with like explosions. Then he goes to prison for mass murder.
Loser.
And then he could be a Cowboys fan.
At Le Batard Show, it was good enough the way that I was doing it. We didn't need the exploding toothpicks. At Le Batard Show,
Debatable.
What are the poll questions today that people and yesterday, since you weren't here, if you've got any from yesterday, we've had a lot of them the last 2 days.
Hell yeah. Is Kevin Costner sneaky tall? 75% of the audience says yes, he is.
6'1" was a stunner. I did not have him over 6 feet.
Right. Would you like to eat a hot dog that is made of alligator? 54% of the audience says yes, they would.
Really?
46% of cowards.
Wow, that is he walked out on Duke and decided to stay in the NBA draft.
He blew it. Did the Knicks finish in third place? 58% of the audience says no, they did not.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
I'm sorry, Stugotz.
Mathematically, they did.
Well,
according to Thibodeau, they did.
According to the internet, they did not.
Loser.
Is the bronze medalist a winner or a loser? 55% of the audience says a loser.
This is American like exceptionalism, right? Around the world, bronze medal is something that's greeted with honor and respect. Here we're like, you loser.
Loser.
I mean, let's think for a second. I mean,
Third place.
Is anyone listening to this third place in the world at anything? Good enough to be third place
That
in
you
the,
would brag about
in
it,
the
right.
world at anything.
Having my keys in the wrong pocket when I'm approaching my front door.
There might be somebody listening to this who is saying that I am not third place, I'm first place in seeing a live microphone at a lacrosse game and saying that Sacred Heart, a lot of people are saying that they are filled with diarrhea. But other than that, I don't think there's anyone listening to this that can claim to finish top 3 in the world at anything.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
I'm third place best in the world at picking the shopping cart with the squeaky wheel.
Oh, I hate
Bronze
that.
medalist. Does alligator taste like chicken that has been swimming? 78% of the audience says yes. Which hurts more? People thinking you're lazy or people thinking you're dumb?
Both.
72% of the audience says people thinking you're dumb. Hurts a little more. Is a sandwich a finger food? No. 58% of the audience says yes.
What?
Only if it's cut
What
up
are we
into
doing here?
like four.
Right, very small pieces.
What are we
Right.
talking
It
about?
can't be a full sandwich.
No, a sandwich is not a. It's got to be
sandwich
It's got to be a
is
tiny
a sandwich!
It's got to be a tiny sandwich. If it's a tiny sandwich,
Well,
it's
that's
a
what we're
finger
saying.
food. No,
Yes,
but
if you
that's
cut it up
not-
in
that's-
fours, yeah.
And also, you got to be able to do this.
That's important.
Yeah.
Do you take your hat off when you give someone a tip of the cap? 64% of the audience says yes, you
Nah,
do.
doing it wrong.
Thank you. You don't just do this, Chris. You don't just tip your cap.
That's hats off.
It is different. Hats off is different than tip of the cap.
So
It
for
is.
hats off, do you just tip the end of your cap? Like, what are we doing here?
It's different.
Is it humanly possible to be great as the quarterback for the New York Jets?
100%.
88% of the audience says no, it is not. Favorite ice cream to order from an ice cream truck?
Wow.
The choices were strawberry shortcake bars, Choco Taco, Push Pops, and Bomb Pops. 39% of the audience says Choco Tacos.
Congratulations, Tony.
They're good.
Can never have one again.
I'm just picturing the 12% of those Jets fans like, no, it is possible. I'm voting no. Jerks.
Greeny?
Yeah, Greeny voted for sure. Stugotz definitely voted on that one.
I'm the one who said Justin Fields has no chance of being great.
More versatile food, potato or tomato?
This is big.
Oh, wow.
76% of the audience says potatoes.
Got it right.
Whoa!
Made out of vodka, Dan.
You know what? That's
out of vodka.
asinine.
The vodka.
That's just the potato being more popular than the tomato. That
big
is
tomato.
bullshit.
That's
That
big
is
potato. That's
bullshit.
big
You
potato.
cannot make that claim.
Are potatoes made of vodka? 51% of the audience says yes, they are.
A big win for Tony. A big win.
What
It was a
delicious,
tag.
what delicious condiment do you get from potatoes? Nothing. Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. You're so right. This is just
But
the
what
potato.
tomato do you put a condiment on?
Right.
Good question. Did you know that the crow/raven is the smartest bird in the world? 66% of the audience says yes, they knew that.
That's nonsense.
Smart asses.
Is Blewett a worse name for a pitcher or a kicker? 64% of the audience says is worse for a kicker. And
I think
the last poll
I got every poll wrong today.
is accusing someone of having diarrhea an insult.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay.
56% of the audience says, yes, it is an insult. And before we get out of here, William McBroom from Instagram says, not sure if you guys will read this, but I hope you and everyone who works on the show know how much it means to the fans. I've been in a really bad headspace the last few days, and the show always makes me laugh when absolutely nothing else can. Y'all bring so much happiness to everyone who listens and have always given me a bright place to go when things seems dark. Thanks, y'all. And that's William McBroom. Thank you, brother.
I don't believe that's a real name. I don't believe that.
Willie McBroom?
I don't believe that that's a real person. That I don't believe McBroom is the real name.
Great closer.
Yes.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Okay, we apologize for our crowd mic.